What's going on, everybody? It is time for another Best in the Business. We got 16 of the biggest men, well, maybe not the biggest men, but 16 of the most memorable big men in the business. Now, sure, there's a lot of names that you're not going to see on this list, but we'll get to those, well, the honorable mentions. We'll get to those in just a second. But first of all, I'm Jake, a.k.a. Bomber, and we got three other dudes here today, and one of those dudes happens to be Peanut. How you doing? You ready to feel up some big men? Or, well, not quite, you know.
Whoa.
What?
Well,
I didn't mean feel up. I meant talk about. I meant talk about.
Our famous backyard in the business, whatever we call our shows.
God damn, I hate you.
That's a good name.
If you saw one of our backyard in the businesses, you'd see that me, Peanut, I'm the perfect judge for who is the best big man in the business. Being a huge 6'10" monster, if you go back and watch that show. So based on the grounds of judging, I think I'm the most qualified here. So I'm looking forward to laying down the law and making sure the right guy wins.
Well, okay. First of all, people listening that have not watched those, that's called Backyard Breakdowns on our YouTube channel. You need to watch that. That's good stuff. But anyway, we got Lee and Scott. First of all, Lee, how are you doing? Are you ready to feel up? Talk about some big men.
Yeah, I'm a little sick, but you know, I'm the realest guy in the room. I just came up with that, so don't anyone steal it from me. And let's get it going.
I'll try not to do that. And also, we got Scott here, who I heard is also sick. Something's going around up in Canada right now.
Well, there's only 5 people in Canada, don't you know?
It happens. But
Or
it's,
they are the same person.
According to Rab, yes.
Shut up.
But Scott, how are you on your sickness scale? Are you doing all right?
It's a stuffy nose, some congestion. It's taking some medicine for that. It's otherwise fine. It's just kind of bleh. So
Cool.
It's great for talking. No, seriously, it's going to be fine. But it's just, you know, it's cold up here, but it got better. And then it snowed a lot. So, yeah, Canada.
Perfect. That's Canada in a nutshell. But here we go. Let's talk about some big men and honorable mentions. Scott, you want to go through a couple of these guys first? Then we have a little list here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted. I always jump in with this anyway, so this kind of is my thing on this show. But what the big man is, like when you think of the big men, not just the big fat guys, but it is kind of a wrestling term of a big man, like the guys who do the big boot, the choke slams, the larger than life guys, those massive ones, and the fat guys. You know, it's those kind of guys. So we got some honorable mentions that might be like, what, really, him? But we kind of explain it. So I'll go at the top of the list if that works for you, Bomber.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Well, the first one up there is Hulk Hogan, because he technically is big, but he never wrestled like a big man. Like,
That's true. He was always the guy taking out. He was always the guy taking out the big men. So I feel like he was probably overshadowed as the big guy, as the big man, because he was taking
fought
down
monsters,
the big man.
but
yeah,
exactly. But unlike, I mean, obviously, an honorable mention is not the Undertaker. He fought monsters bigger than him too, but he always still fought like a big man. So
Yes.
Hogan never fought like a big man. He fought like, you look at an Austin or a Michaels or a Hart. They have different styles, but they always fought like a smaller guy. Hogan always fought like a smaller guy who like overcame the odds. So he fought like Cena, and Cena's not huge, so it's that kind of thing. The other name I threw in there was Braun Strowman. People are probably like, "Oh, why is Braun not on there?" Well, because
they will.
He's too new. It was the consensus, but if I had my way, I'd probably still have him on this list. Honestly,
True,
he will be there
I don't
someday.
know who. Like, I see what you're saying. Yeah, definitely.
2 years. Give him 2 years down the line, we would have had him on this list.
I say
That's
that. I agree, but I still think he would lose to almost anybody on this list. Like, right? If we did it right now,
Absolutely not.
Yes.
I can tell you that for a fact too. And you're always wrong about that.
Really?
But that's
Okay.
why this is fun.
Oh,
God,
Bomber's doing this thing already where he's,
Anyway, we're not even
gonna
into
be
the actual
shocked
name.
when
But the other one, all this another one here is Umaga, who kind of is one of those guys. But I mean, the obvious thing there is his career got cut short, so
yeah,
you can kind of axe it right there.
I like Umaga.
But he was awesome. I really liked him, especially his last man standing with Cena was a fun one at the Rumble a couple years ago. And hey, speaking of Rumble, that's the segue I forgot. Big men are always a thing in the Rumble. They're like, oh, the biggest man has the advantage in a battle royal. They never win since the Andre days, but ignore that. Don't worry about that. But that's, thematic. Yay.
That's why we're doing it. That's why we're doing this thing.
Yeah, exactly. One other name, I'll throw it in there because we hadn't had on the
before we
list.
get too far along, I should bring up Jinder Mahal is no longer WWE champion.
Oh, God damn it,
but
no.
in the coming weeks, he will be your new United States
This is
champion.
terrible.
So,
Why are you here?
Oh, it's
Peanut?
been a while.
Damn it.
We needed that. It's been a while. We needed that. I was going to mention, we didn't really mention it anywhere on our pre-show talk. Not that we do that. Shh. Batista. I didn't even write him down, but he's
you
a
know
bigger
what?
guy.
That's not a bad one. Batista's
Yeah, Batista.
Not a bad
He's not really because
shorter
he
than
never
Triple
really
H, but
he never really did big man stuff either. Like Sheamus almost gets into that range. Well, like guys like that aren't on here. So
Yeah. Yeah, but we got One Man Gang. We got Peanut's favorite Great Khali we talked about, which, I mean, no, just no.
greatest WWE champion.
Also, Giant
World Heavyweight
Gonzalez.
Ugh, John Gonzalez just stunk, man.
Lee brought
Hell,
up Reese, which I didn't even think about. Lee mentioned Reese.
Who
from
might be
WCW.
worse than Giant Gonzalez, by the way.
Yeah,
I think he might.
As you said, the Yeti? The Yeti?
Yeah, he was the Yeti,
Yeah.
and he was in Raven's flock, and he had. I think he was he Loch Ness as well? I can't remember.
Oh, God. I
No,
don't
that's
know.
God. That's Giant Haystacks.
That's right,
He's
that's right.
700 pounds.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
He should be on the list of the not on the list.
Yeah.
Also, well, in that case, also Big Daddy from.
I was about to
Great
say,
Britain,
and
too.
Big Daddy definitely needs to be mentioned at least in here. And Kamala, fuck.
Yeah.
Kamala,
shit.
yeah, Kamala. I never really saw him as a big guy, but he was more of like a.
Oh, he absolutely is,
I
though.
mean, yeah. I see what you're saying.
But he never. I mean, that's as memorable as he was.
He's a good honorable mention. Yeah, I came up with The Wall from WCW in their dying days, which was pretty bad.
He was Malice in TNA.
Yeah.
He was in the final with Ken Shamrock to be the first NWA champion in the TNA days.
And speaking of TNA, we brought up somebody. Was it you, Scott, that mentioned Abyss? Somebody mentioned Abyss.
I think so.
That was
Yeah.
not a bad mention, but just not quite.
I just want to say Abyss should probably be on the main list if he wasn't languished away in TNA.
Oh yeah, he probably would.
He did kind of nothing over there, and it kind of sucked for him. So yeah.
I originally had Abdul the Butcher and Earthquake in the tournament, but they got knocked out for a couple of these other guys that we got in here.
JBL.
And yeah,
You'll notice Matt Zion's not here.
Matt Zion and Peanut want fucking JBL on the list, but that didn't happen.
Matt Zion is actively texting us saying JBL.
I know, while he's not in here
Just
because he
remember,
said he was
we do
going
have
out
a
to
free
dinner.
pick.
Yeah.
We always have a free pick.
No, we're not
No,
doing no
this is-
fucking.
This is
Norman
big
Smiley
men in the
shit.
business, not big pieces of shit.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and
Tugboat
for-
was our last one.
Just as far as for big men as well, I keep thinking of like older school guys like Gorilla Monsoon.
Right.
Close to
Giant Baba, Lee mentioned as well.
Yeah.
We just started listing big guys. Like Ricky Dozan was kind of bigger.
Yeah.
Akebono is a big man.
Mhm.
Giant Silva is large.
Yeah, there was
Big
a lot of
Cass is
Japanese
big,
guys
It's in his
that-
name.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Heidenreich. Can't
We just-
forget
yeah,
about Heidenreich.
yeah.
God damn it! Peanut.
honestly-
why are you? God damn it, Peanut.
Throwing it out there.
I like
know,
this
I'm
theme
kidding.
song. But no, like that's
good one.
how many names we got down before we started being like, yeah, we're just listing big guys. like the
Nathan
Samoa
Jones.
Okay. Yep. And
He was
on
way
that,
attention.
on
Matt
the
Morgan?
Nathan Jones note, Matt Morgan he's a big dude.
Vladimir
he-
Kozlov.
Yeah, Matt Morgan's the biggest wasted potential ever, I think.
Those are not
Unfortunately.
quite.
Who
Those are
was?
mentions, not quite honorable mentions.
No, but
those guys.
that's how far we had to
No,
go to get some of these.
We're doing. This is what we do before every show. We're just giving some insight.
Yes,
Yeah,
some
except we
insight.
kept going. We jumped in. So
Yeah.
let's get the actual stuff.
So yeah, let's do this thing. Let's start the actual tournament. Let's go with the first round, the first matchup. We're talking Rikishi versus Vader, Big Van Vader, whatever you want to call him. We're talking Vader. Lee, do you want to start us off here?
Oh, sure. And this is an easy pick for me. Both of these guys are actually. I think some people might underrate Rikishi just because of the sort of comedic stuff that really got him fame. But before he was Rikishi, like he that was a repackaging. He was in the WWE for quite a while. Some people don't remember that he was like Fatu and shit
And the
before
Sultan.
then, right? And the Sultan.
Yep.
Mhm.
And those gimmicks just died. But he was, and quite frankly, probably still is a fairly talented big guy. Like even after he put on even more weight, like he was just sort of standard Samoan size for a while. Like really big all around, but not with the big massive ass. Once he put on the big time weight with the massive ass and all that stuff, he could still fly around and work pretty well. So, I mean, there's a lot of good things to say about Rikishi, but Vader's just the total package as far as like a big man goes, because he's a believable monster. B, he can work just fucking circles around just about anybody. 3, all of his shit is believable. All of his offense is just destructive and believable, and he's just like legit a menacing guy. And his character's endured, not even in just North America, but around the world. So Vader gets an easy buy through this one, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. I guess I'll jump in there real quick and go next. First of all, before I do, I want to say the way I am ranking everyone in this tournament, how I'm picking my person is, it is the best big man in the business. That's not necessarily who's the best wrestler in the business or anything like out of this tournament. It is who utilized, to me, the big man role. That's how I'm judging this, by the way. That's how I'm doing it. So when I make my picks, that's what I'm talking about. Who utilized the big man role to the best in the business. So
if they have the name big in their name, they have an advantage.
Big in their name is definitely some bonus points. I'll say that. So just a spoiler for later.
And I should have called myself Big Bad Peanut.
Big Bad Peanut. There we go. So anyway, yeah, just like you said, Rikishi, as big as he was, wow, super agile. He hit super kicks. He came off the top rope a decent amount. He came off the top of a fucking cage. At one point, killed Val Venus pretty much. I loved his finisher personally, the Rikishi driver. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if that was somebody else's move before that. But that's
basically the safest version of the fire thunder driver you could possibly do, because his goddamn legs were so thick that there's no chance your head would touch the fucking.
Yeah, I really like the Rikishi driver, and actually I think he was, when I went back and thought about it, he was one of my favorite wrestlers, not like the favorite, but one of my favorite guys in the Attitude Era, believe it or not. And it was a mixture of how agile he was for a big man and the comedy stuff, which I think sadly that is what he's going to probably be known for the most, is the fucking stink face and all that. Right. But like you said, yeah, he definitely was a better wrestler than he's going to be remembered for. Now, when it comes to Vader, okay, yeah, obviously Vader, he wasn't known as like super agile. He'll do like top rope stuff. He does the moonsault. He did a couple things like that. He utilized a lot of splashes, like the running just off the ropes, just running and like hitting a splash in the ring, which always works out good. And just to me, he was one of the meanest motherfuckers I ever met. When I was a kid, the first time I remember seeing Vader was during his whole stuff with his WCW stuff with Sting. And I wasn't the biggest Sting fan, but I did like Sting. And I just felt so bad watching him beat the absolute shit out of Sting. And I will never forget, he was one of the first guys that I remember in wrestling, just period, as like a bad guy. Just a guy that I wasn't really afraid of, but you know, like I was like, holy shit, that guy will fucking kill me. But no, like, it's unfortunate what happened to him in WWE, because he was amazing in WCW. He was even better in Japan, and he almost got fucking neutered in WWE. But on top of him just being a big motherfucker, he was one of the best brawlers that I remember back in the day. And as much as I actually, if I put him side by side, I actually remember more stuff about Rikishi and like Rikishi probably more. But overall, as definitely a big man in the sport, easily I think Vader's going to get the win for me over Rikishi here. But I am very, for some reason, I don't know why I was big on Rikishi, but I was very big on Rikishi back in the day. But I'm going to pick Vader for my pick in this one. Peanut, who you got?
Man, I love all the love that he's getting. I was worried he would get bashed, maybe for being remembered for the comedy stuff.
No,
yeah.
Who's gonna bash?
Well,
Rikishi?
I didn't know, but I'm glad nobody is, because like everyone kind of mentioned, he was great and he bumped well. Like he was the first big guy I can remember. I mean, probably isn't the first. When he would take a clothesline, he'd do like a backflip 360.
Oh yeah, right. That was good.
And yeah, it just looked cool. So he could work the big guy style, but he would also make, if someone was bigger than him, he would make that guy look freaking huge. But with that said, Vader was freaking scary. And growing up, you know, I was younger when Vader was in his heyday, I guess, and I was legitimately scared. So I don't know. I want to give a vote to Rikishi though, just because I don't know.
You think he was the better big man in the business? That's fine.
Maybe because I just want to give him a respect vote here. That's me assuming Scott's vote.
Assuming
So
Scott's
maybe-
vote. I know he's a big Vader fan. Okay, well that's one for Rikishi, 2 for Vader.
This could be an accidental upset, but I have a feeling.
Coin toss in the wings if we need it.
We don't need the coin toss.
No coin toss?
I'm more like, oh, you kept Vader from getting a sweep. No disrespect to Rikishi. He was easily one of the more over acts of the Attitude Era. He got 2 cruiserweights over like mad with Too Cool. He did that cage dive, like I said, against Val Venus. 3-time Intercontinental Champion, multi-time tag champion. He was crazy over. Like, I was watching clips of just recently of Rikishi and Too Cool dance with like somebody, the Dudley Boys or whatever, and they would put the sunglasses on the guys and they would just dance. The crowd goes nuts.
Oh,
they're just dancing badly, and it's like, oh my god. The Rumble in 2000 stopped for that. If not for the fact that it was Triple H leading up to the whole Cactus Jack stuff, Rikishi would have won the WWE title off of him around February or March. He was that over, and it was that feud that was happening. It was that close. It almost happened, and it was believable to people. That's how over he was there. For me, though, Vader was kind of always that over. Like, he was a monster all the time. Even at his low points in WWE, he was still destructive. My favorite match of his is still that Final 4 match when he got bloodied and took his mask off and just beat the fuck out of Bret Hart for a while.
Yeah.
It was a great match because he's like, oh no, he's wounded. No, he's gonna keep going now.
He's just a little pissed off. That's it.
Now he's going. Here we go. You got him active. But no, Vader is honestly one of my all-time favorites. He could move like no one else, like those cartwheels and moonsaults and stuff. It's like, what the hell is that guy doing that? And yet, yeah, like Lee said, it was always believable. He would destroy someone. And I've said this about Vader multiple times, so I'm repeating myself here, but he was one of the first bad guys I remember not having to cheat to win. He was just legitimately beat you. Like, he didn't have to cheat or have his manager do stuff, but he also sometimes had that with Harley Race or guys like that.
Yeah, that's when they stuck Harley Race in there. It's like, we got to give Harley something to do.
But he could literally just beat the crap out of Sting and beat Sting. Like, he didn't have to cheat to do it either. He would just do it. Like, God. That's how good he was at that. And that's honestly amazing. That's why, like, Kevin Owens gets to a point like that. Like, only a certain few guys can pull that off. So, I like that with Vader. He's one of my favorites anyway, so you put him on a list like this, yeah, I'm going to pick him for this one. So, but again, no disrespect to Rikishi. It's kind of a raw deal for him here because I think he could have beat out a bunch of others, honestly. It's just
I believe that. I do believe
Vader.
that, yeah.
It's just Vader. I mean, look at it this way. Rikishi's in the Hall of Fame. Vader isn't.
I know, that's so weird. There's a lot of names on this list that we're going to talk about that. It's like, wait, they're not in the Hall of Fame? I didn't even know some of these guys weren't in the Hall of Fame because I just assumed they were. But yeah, Vader's definitely one of those names. And he'll get in. There's no doubt. He'll get in.
I just hope he gets in before any kind of heart issue happens because that was a couple of years and he's gotten better. But put him in the Hall of Fame, guys. Like, let him do his speech.
He still works, though, right?
Somewhat.
I guess so.
I mean, I use that in quotes. I mean, I wouldn't call
He
it.
talked to Will Ospreay a year ago or so.
Yeah,
Oh my
that
God.
was a fun match, actually. I enjoyed that. That was,
Oh, I enjoy seeing Ospreay get to beat.
Oh, it was
up
good.
Anyway, yeah.
All right. So there we go. Vader wins 3-1, advancing to the second round. Now we're moving on to the second match. Big John Studd, he's got big in his name. That means that's a plus there. Versus Kevin Nash. Scott, you want to start this one off?
Kevin Nash, also known as, don't forget this, Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
And Diesel also, if you want to throw that in there.
Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
Yep.
He's
And
got
Oz.
two bigs.
Wow.
It's also Oz.
No.
Oh,
Big
yeah,
Oz.
Oz.
No, seriously, John Studd. I watched wrestling from around the first WrestleMania time frame, so Studd was a bigger guy at that point, but he wasn't world title level guy. So he was. I knew of him, but not much of his real heyday. But I mean, Nash, obviously, Diesel, and from the era, he's a different era entirely. I liked the Diesel character originally when he was a badass, and when he won the title and became this goofy face, I didn't like it. And then when he went with the black glove and started hitting people before the WCW jump, it was fun again. And I mean, he's still entertaining even when he's like with the short silver hair in TNA. He just kind of doesn't give a crap and uses his 5 moves, and he does, and it's. I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he maximizes it. It's always.
I loved him in TNA, by the way. He was hilarious.
Yeah, he was good. He was good. John Studd. I mean, he won the first Rumble. Yes. He won the the second Rumble. Yeah, no, the first pay-per-view Rumble. Excuse me.
Yes.
It was in '89. Duggan won '88, but the first 30-man Rumble, the pay-per-view, he won that because it was a battle royal thing. That was what he did. That was his thing. That was his Hall of Fame moment. And he's a Hall of Fame and all that stuff. But I kind of got to go with Nash. I mean, I know it's not the criteria that you're using, Bomber, of who's the better big man, because honestly, Studd might be, but he wasn't a 5-time world champion like Kevin Nash was. He used it better in a different era to become world champ multiple times in different eras even. So I got to go with Nash. There was more to him, I feel. I know some people are like, sacrilege, there's not more to Nash. I mean, it's an overall character, everything for him. So.
All right, so that's 1 for Kevin Nash. Peanut, how about we hear from you? Who you got?
This is tough because I really don't know much of Big John Studd besides what they play on whatever clip he might appear in during Royal Rumble build-ups.
It's usually him winning that Rumble.
Yeah. But Kevin Nash, I don't know, him, like, his matches, I don't know. They don't age well, especially for that era, because it wasn't really super long ago. He just like, I don't know. He always seemed like he was about to break his calf. Is that the joke? Calf or
did.
Quad? Yeah.
Quad. He usually did break something in his legs.
But even when he was, he always looks. Well, he's tall, so he can't walk that well. That's how I assume being tall is like. I wouldn't know. I'm only 6'10". But yeah, based on ignorance, though, I had to go with Kevin Nash because I don't have much ground for Big John Studd. And I got to say, I'm glad I didn't go first because Scott kind of sold me on this one.
I made sure I didn't pick you first for that one because I knew you didn't know who the fuck Big John Studd was. I was hoping I gave you the brackets ahead of time.
Royal Rumble.
I was hoping you would do your research.
No, not a chance.
Yeah, why the fuck? Okay. All right. So that's 2 for Kevin Nash.
Actually,
what?
I'm gonna throw my JBL vote in this one.
No, you're not. You're not fucking picking JBL here. Lee, who you
Kevin
got?
Nash.
I'll go last. We got 2 for Nash. Yeah, 2 for Nash. Lee, who you got?
All right. This one's kind of tough because I really don't like Kevin Nash. He's my term for him that I picked up somewhere is Big Poochie, basically. Like he's kind of like that Poochie character in The Simpsons there. He thinks he's really cool, but he's really not. But man, okay, Kevin Nash is the higher profile guy. He had the better career. He's had more titles. He's had more success in more companies than Big John Studd did. John Studd unfortunately died early. But Big John Studd was the better worker. I'll say that. He was a better worker. He was a more convincing big man. He was actually bigger than Kevin Nash, if I recall correctly. He was about 7 feet, and he was 300, way plus 300 pounds. But he was, like a big solid. Like he was like Braun Strowman kind of size, like solid 7-footer. Not big fat guy. Unfortunately, he was in an era where he was just the setup guy to be beaten by the big faces. That was kind of his role. And also, like, all the other stuff he did was kind of before mass televised wrestling, so a lot of people probably just don't remember him all that well.
Yep.
So I kind of have to give it to Kevin Nash because he's really the big man who probably he's probably gotten more out of having less talent than any other person on this fucking list, quite frankly. And I guess I got to give him credit for that. And I hate to do it, but I do have to vote for Kevin Nash.
Okay.
Can I make an early prediction for next round when we do Vader versus Nash?
No. So what are you? What's up,
I
Scott?
just wanted to say real quick in there too. We didn't mention that Studd was in the era of Andre.
Yeah.
So when you're a giant in that era, but you're not the giant, you're number 2.
And what do you remember? Where do you remember him from? Losing the Body Slam challenge.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So He never got to be the one. So I mean, that's just the victim of the time. If he wasn't during that era, it would have been a lot different, I think. But
okay, well, since it's 3 votes already for Nash, I guess I'll just do an abbreviated version here. First of all, I actually wrote down all the stats for everybody as far as their height and weight, and I forgot to do that with the first match. Rikishi was, I don't know if this is legit. This is what they were billed as. So
that's the fun way. Definitely do that.
That's Rikishi was 6'1", 425 pounds. That was Rikishi. 6'1". Vader was 6'5", 450. I feel like that's a lot, but I don't think he was.
That's about right. He was a little shorter than Hogan. I remember that.
Yeah,
that's
he was 6'5". So this match, that was the last match. This match, Big John Studd, 6'10", 360. Kevin Nash, 6'10", 320. So both billed as the same height, but
yeah, don't forget, if you're 6'10", you're 7 feet.
Yeah, nearly 7 feet. Yeah, so that's the stats coming to this one. I'll actually read the stats off before we go into each one. I forgot to do that in the first match. But anyway, coming into this, I was actually, Big John Studd's run was, I think, right before I was born and stuff, so I really didn't get to see it when it happened. But somehow, I remember Big John Studd when I was a kid. I don't know how. Because I had these little rubber, I don't know if anybody even knows what the fuck I'm talking about, but these little rubber action figures back in the day, LJN made
the LJN action figures, absolutely, yeah.
I have like almost 50 to 60 of those motherfuckers at like my parents' house in the attic somewhere. But
action figures, really, but you know.
Yeah, they were just rubber. Like,
yeah, they were just rubber guys.
No articulation, yeah. But they were good, they were big. I remember those, yeah.
Yeah, I had like 4 copies of Big John Studd. Like, I had 4 of Big John Studd, and he was one of my favorites that I played with. I don't know why. Maybe it's the way he was positioned, but I remember I always liked him for some reason, and I never really knew much about him. So I, obviously, as time went, I learned who he was and whatnot. But, I mean, a lot of people, I think the biggest thing he's known for, or going to be known for, is the Body Slam Challenge, which you guys just talked about. The whole, like, you know, a lot of the younger people watching, you Peanut probably right now, you know, the Master Lock Challenge, it was the same deal. He said somebody come out and body slam me, people would come try to do it. They couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, you know, it was Andre the Giant. That was the one that came out and beat him, won like $15,000. And, you know, it was, it took place the first WrestleMania. So,
yeah, he threw it to the crowd.
Unfortunately for Big John Studd, when we talk about success, that was one of his biggest, most memorable things he's known for. I mean, yes, he did win the second Royal Rumble, but I guarantee you, when you go back and think about who won the Royal Rumbles, you will hardly ever remember Big John Studd. He's one of the most fucking forgotten.
Rey Mysterio.
Wow.
No, I mean,
John
as
Cena.
years go on, we've got 30 of them, Bomber, but they do still like to pump out Duggan and Studd quite a bit as the first ones.
Well, I
They do,
usually
yeah.
forget it.
Duggan more than anyone, but Studd,
Yeah.
But
they still
it's been more in years past that they've been,
yeah.
I feel like, bringing up the first
But
couple.
they always, whenever they talk about them, though, they always sort of lump them in as, like, these are the guys who started it. Like, they'll talk about Bruno Sammartino in that fashion, and then they'll go, like, but here's the real stars.
Yeah.
That won the later one.
Batista.
Honest, they've been playing like the same rehashed Royal Rumble build up for like 15 years now.
The stats by the numbers.
Yeah.
I used to really like that, but it's like I've seen this before. You just put Kane in it for number 15 now. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I saying?
Segue.
Unfortunately, when you compare Kevin Nash and Big John Studd with accomplishments, like fucking Royal Rumble win is Big John Studd compared to all the titles, all the main event time Kevin Nash has had. And obviously, when you hold them side by side on who had the better career, yes, obviously Kevin Nash head and shoulders over Big John Studd. But I'm definitely gonna pick Big John Studd as I said, the better big man in the business, because he utilized it way better than Kevin Nash did. Kevin Nash, I never really remember him as, yes, he used the big boot and he used the powerbomb and stuff, but I never remember him using his size that, like, as heavily as guys like Big John Studd and Andre the Giant and guys like that, like the older school guys. Kevin Nash, maybe because it's more modern. Maybe that's why the styles changed, but I don't know. I think Big John Studd was one of the better 80s big men in wrestling, I think. And by the way, another side note, he is one of the few people in the WWE and WCW Hall of Fame. I had to mark that down because that was pretty big. But yes, that's it. 3-1. Kevin Nash is gonna get the win and advance to the next round. So
that was the condensed version of your pick.
Well, it went a little long because we all jumped in. Yeah, my bad. I'll keep the next one short. So, Peanut, how about you start this off?
You don't know.
We got Kane. Hopefully these are two people you've heard of before.
Not the second name you're about to list.
We got Kane.
But go on.
Kane,
the first one's some mayor
who was listed as Kane was 7 foot tall, 320 pounds, and Andre the Giant was listed as 7'4", 520 pounds. So we got Kane versus Andre the Giant. Peanut, who you going with?
Well, off the bat, Andre the Giant has giant in his name, so that means he was pretty big.
Yeah.
Outside of jokes, though, Andre the Giant obviously is the most well-known. Well, he is just known for being a giant. He's known for being body slammed by Hulk Hogan, which was an astounding feat because he was so tall in feet. But Kane, he was an outstanding big guy because he was jumping off the top rope, doing some clotheslines. He was scary. He was big. I don't know. The easy vote here is Andre the Giant because he's legendary in that department. But I don't know. I gotta go with Kane for the length of his career, the style he's been able to work, and I'm going with Kane.
Okay. That is one vote for Kane. I'll jump in and go real quick. So, like I said, I'll keep this one a little bit quicker. Andre the Giant, he was billed as the 8th wonder of the world. And for those of you, obviously, the younger people, again, if you don't know why China was called the 9th one of the world, that's why, because Giant was the 8th. So, no, Giant was the epitome of the big man. The big man. Obviously, he was Hogan's one of his greatest rivals, if not the biggest rival for Hogan. And almost like John Studd, who utilized his size with the body slam, Andre the Giant was almost impossible to body slam. That's why the Hogan slam was so big and so memorable, because he was so big, so massive. He used his size to do everything. Like, if you remember, he put somebody in the corner and he would just slam with his butt, just, you know, like, well, hips or whatever you want to call it, or back, whatever. But he would just slam up against him, just stuff like that, just using his big size. And just, he didn't have to show a bunch of strength, which he did. Obviously, he did have quite a bit of strength and stuff, but he was the epitome of the big man. And Kane, unfortunately, who is a good big man wrestler, who does have that little small bit of agile stuff. Well, I mean, he's not that agile. He does have the top rope lariat. He does have that. And I don't know. Kane is always... When I was looking at this bracket, I almost left Kane off. I almost forgot about Kane, believe it or not, because when you think of big men, for some reason, I don't think of Kane. I think of Kane more of like a monster, which is a different kind of genre of wrestler and character. I think of him as a monster, like this demonic like thing. And when I think of Andre the Giant, I think of a massive motherfucker. So it's pretty simple for me when I went to pick this. I'm going to go with Andre the Giant. And again, no discredit to Kane. Kane is one of my favorite guys in the modern era, but he, in this bracket, he, to me, doesn't hold anything close to Andre the Giant. So that's what I got. Lee, what you got?
All right. Here's the thing with Kane. Kane, overall, throughout the stretch of his career, you could say overall was probably the better worker. Andre the Giant was actually really good in his early years. I've seen a lot of his stuff in Japan, where he was quite excellent for his size. But he was... Of course, he was more agile back then too. He hadn't put on like the extra like 200 pounds or whatever he had in his like later career in the WWF, where his health really went down the fucking shitter. Like there was a point where he was doing like all kinds of like sort of athletic stuff and basic stuff that you wouldn't expect a big guy his size to be able to pull off. He was doing drop kicks and stuff like that. Thing with Kane. Like in later years in his career, he just doesn't scream the big monster to me so much because they've just brought him out so many times to be the guy who jobs. As opposed to Andre the Giant, who was so well protected through the entirety of his career that he just made a much more bigger impression, I guess you could say. And overall, his legacy, you just remember him more as the big guy and pretty much the premier big guy. And I think in his prime, he was probably the better worker than Kane was, fundamentally. So I got to give a slight edge to Andre the Giant here.
Okay. All right, it's going to be 2 for Andre the Giant. Scott, where you land here?
On Team Peanut.
This is a bit of a difficult one in some ways. To your monster point, Bomber, if not for the fact that he kind of went unmasked for a good chunk there and was just kind of a big man, I think that does more than qualify him here for that. I always thought of him as a bigger guy in that sense, like not just a monster. But to that point, I think his best time was before he got hurt around 2001 or so. And he was just on a tear. It was great in the early Attitude Era stuff. Or late Attitude Era, rather, excuse me. He did a little more longevity-wise, but I mean, Krogomi, I think it's called, is what takes guys like Andre and eventually Big Show out. That's the disease that makes them big, so I mean, it came for him. Andre, I think, was legitimately 7'2", so 7'4", like, let's just tack it on, right, at that point. But,
probably, yeah.
Yeah, and Andre didn't get the surgery to prevent him from growing bigger, like
yes.
the Big Show did, right? So
yeah, he did.
Oh, I didn't know that was the thing. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, legitimately, Andre the Giant. Everyone kind of looks to him as the guy. Like, Big Show's first name was the Giant, and he was Andre's son. Like, doesn't get much more specific than that. Like, when Andre died, they created the Hall of Fame and put him in it. And they have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which, okay, whatever, but he's like, you're talking legacy, and that's pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. And yet Kane is a company guy. He's been in 15 straight Rumbles. He skipped this last year, which bummed me out. Eliminated so many. The one with Austin was amazing in 2001. He had great runs, and he had shit runs. And even before that, he was Isaac Yankem and Unabomb and all this stuff. He's done a fuck ton of stuff. But that's Andre the Giant. You look at the stuff, like you said, Hogan slamming him. I mean, when they had the demolition problem with the Silver Dome, they referenced Hogan and Andre. And it wasn't just the thing that Hogan did. It was Hogan and Andre. He's still that legendary figure. Literally larger than life is how this kind of goes. So I'm going with Andre. I don't think I need to quantify more than that. I don't want to discredit Kane. It's like Vader and Rikishi again. It's like Kane is awesome.
Yeah. I
mean, he's got his ridiculous career resurgence right now. He's going to main event the Rumble, for fuck's sake. But it's not. I don't know any that I would put Kane over in a lot. Like I think Kane. Oh, he's a good name for this list. Mm-hmm. I don't see him beating many out of the first round.
I feel that same thing. Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Like, he definitely belongs on here, but he's like, it's good that he got mentioned. Like, an honor to be nominated kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird, but I mean, especially against Andre, I'm sorry. There you go.
Somebody right now, one of our listeners, tweet Kane, God. future mayor of Knox County, and let him know that Jobber Radio nominated him for our best of the big man.
Yeah, there you go.
He got the participation award.
He sure did. So there we go. Andre the Giant advances past Kane, moving on to the second round. Now, here's a big one here. Yokozuna versus Ernie Ladd. Big Cat Ernie Ladd. So Yokozuna was billed at 6'4", 600+ pounds. And Ernie Ladd, what's up?
He got up to 700 in the billing.
I heard that he actually, I heard he did.
That Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view with Jake the Snake. He was 702, I think they said.
Wow. So Ernie Ladd came in at 6'9", 320 pounds. So I'll go first on this one. Yokozuna, I'll start with him. Wow. Yokozuna was a fucking one of the best big men in the business. I think Yokozuna was an amazing wrestler, especially for how big he was. 600+ pounds. The dude was doing super kicks and like first of all, his finish of the bonsai drop was a perfect finisher. I don't know where that came from, whose idea that was, but it was a perfect, just a big dude just jump off the middle rope or bottom rope, whichever one it was, and just squash right on your chest, sit on your chest. Fantastic finishing move that he could do to anybody. And let's oh, there you go. The funny thing is, by the way, he's the cousin to Rikishi, which is another guy that was on the list, which those of you who don't know, yes, Yokozuna was not Japanese. He was Samoan, but I assume everybody knows that, Peanut, by the way, in case you didn't know that.
I couldn't tell by his skin.
Yeah, you couldn't tell, you racist son of a bitch. But anyway,
looked like an Oriental to you, didn't he?
Yeah, the only thing I feel like
his eyes. Never mind.
Oh God!
God damn it, Peanut! No, we're not.
We're filling in for Matt Zion.
No, we're not getting kicked off YouTube. Yeah, but speaking of Zion, but no. I really loved Mr. Fuji as his mouthpiece, or I guess he was his mouthpiece. Mainly his manager that came out with him. Jim Cornette really didn't work out too well, I feel. But Mr. Fuji and Yokozuna were like the perfect combo, and they were like amazing. They were the perfect big man, little small Japanese man that would come out, and they would just dominate everything. They were great. I loved Yokozuna. He deserved definitely to be on this list. And believe it or not, when I made the list, somehow I left him off. And Lee had to point out, like, oh, yeah, Yokozuna needs to be on that list. And I'm like, oh, shit, you're right. But then we got Ernie Ladd. I didn't know a whole lot about Ernie Ladd. I did a shit ton of research before this. And I knew of him. I knew that he was a football player, basketball player. I knew all that stuff. But I didn't know much about him. But going back and watching, man, he was a great fucking talker. He was one of the best on this list in this tournament, besides maybe, I think Kevin Nash was pretty good. I think him and Kevin Nash are pretty good talkers. But Ernie Ladd was good. He was not afraid to be fucking racist when he was doing his promos, which was hilarious back in the day, which, you know, different time frame. He had big feuds. He had Dusty Rhodes, Bobo Brazil, Junkyard Dog, Bruno Sammartino. He had Andre the Giant, which is one of his big ones, and even Gorilla Monsoon. He had big feuds back in the day. His primary run was back in the 70s. That's why I really didn't know shit about him, because I really wasn't a big fan of 70s. I loved 80s wrestling, and I was not a big fan of any 70s stuff that I've seen. Even when I went back and watched a lot of his work here, I was surprised that as big as he was, he didn't really use any of that to his advantage, which is kind of my big criteria in this tournament. He was mainly the chicken shit heel. He would back away, he would cower, he would use the heel tactics, meaning he was a good heel. He had the good promo skills. He got everybody pissed at him by being the chicken shit. He was a damn good character, damn good heel. But man, he was not a good wrestler. And he did not play the big man role very good. As big as he was, I was shocked. And all the stuff I watched, all the stuff I seen, he did not play that very well. And he always did this thing that annoyed me. No matter how he got hit, he like held his arm up onto his head, like no matter what. He'd get a fucking drop kick to the chest, and he would grab his head and like flop back. It was just annoying. But also, the last thing I got to say before I make my pick, he was also in the WWE and WCW Hall of Fame, like Big John Studd. The only two in this bracket, in this tournament, that were in both Hall of Fame.
Stole my bit.
I did. Oh, that was your bit? Oh, I'm so sorry. But yes, as I said, my pick has to go to Yokozuna. Ernie Ladd, really good character, really good heel, but nope. As far as big men go, I'm going with Yoko. Lee, who you got here?
All right. I'm glad Ernie Ladd's on the list. It's just a perennial favorite kind of thing for me. I mean, he was a great talker. He's a better talker than Kevin Nash ever was. I mean, one of his sayings is one of my favorite lines ever from a wrestler. It's like, "I'd rather fight a man than make love to a woman."
Oh my God, that's great.
And so, yeah, that's the thing. He didn't wrestle like a big man. That's true. I will argue that he actually was a great wrestler, but he did not fight like a big man. He did not present himself as a monster. Yokozuna is essentially the supersized version of Rikishi. You know, same sort of body type, but a great worker at the same time for his size. And Yokozuna is just I mean, when you think about him, it's him and Vader are really the perennial monsters of the early '90s. Like you kind of try to think of anyone else really, and it's like, no, they're pretty much the two biggest ones of the early '90s. They're the ones everyone remembers, and yeah, Yokozuna has to get my vote. Sorry, Ernie. I mean, Ernie, another big drawback on him, and this is kind of what Big John Studd kind of gets hurt by, and what like One Man Gang and maybe Kamala or one of them also sort of gets hurt by. Not necessarily their best stuff was not necessarily televised. It wasn't the big '80s era television stuff where they had national exposure. So
yeah, and also when I said Ernie Ladd wasn't a good wrestler, I mean like technical. That's what I think he was a good wrestler as far as playing the heel character. He was very good with that I saw. But Scott, who you got?
I mean, I could talk about Ernie Ladd for a little bit. Didn't know much about him. I did have to look him up when they mentioned like, oh, he's going to the Hall of Fame. So we're talking like 15 years ago. But I didn't know who this guy was, and they're like, oh, this guy's awesome. He's kind of cool. But Yokozuna, I do remember watching and seeing, and just, I mean, his leg drop was death. The crowd would go nuts when he dropped that. Like, oh god. Then he would bonsai drop guys, and I mean, that move was one thing on the main event. But when you saw him debut and he was killing jobbers with it on Superstars, Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Like, he wouldn't brace. He would just go down and squish. It's like, holy fuck.
Didn't he make somebody like pass out with that or something? I heard. He
might have. Maybe. I don't know. But I mean, you look at what he actually did. Like, he came out of nowhere as a big monster, won his first Rumble, won the title off of Brett at Mania. Like, they were pushing this guy like crazy, and then he had the whole Hogan Andre thing with Luger on the Intrepid, and he body slammed him there and stuff like that. So they were going for the same thing. They had this Andre feel about him, and it worked. Like, he legitimately seemed like this is not a normal man you can fight, is what it was with him. And that's more monster, I know, but he wasn't. He was just like, try me. You can't. It's not going to work. So I always liked Yokozuna to an extent. When he and Vader were in that '96 Rumble, when Vader debuted, it was those two monsters facing each other, which was awesome. Shawn Michaels got rid of both, and that pissed me off, but whatever. But no, I got to go with Yokozuna on that one.
All right, that's going to be 3 for Yokozuna. Peanut, who you got? You got Yokozuna or the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd?
Ernie Ladd. 1994 WCW Hall of Famer, 1995 WWF Hall of Famer, that 70s show star with The Rock. The guy's a
Someone
big name.
did some research.
With all that said, Yokozuna.
I
really can't say much more. There's nothing I can add that you guys didn't already say. I literally was just reading Wikipedia. He seems like interesting to look back on for someone who was pretty good, but
you talking about Ernie?
in terms of overall best big man, I guess it's kind of that Kane thing that you guys were going with the last one. It's more of a kind of participation award, like
And I went back, and I mean, I watched a lot of stuff, and Ernie Ladd, I mean, I think the big thing about him is, like I said, he's got a good character, and he played a great heel. Like, the things he said, he would say so many things, so many racist things that were hilarious to me. But I mean, he's playing a character, so it's not a real deal.
It's not him.
Just so you know, Bomber's not playing a character. He's actually racist.
There you go.
Bomber is his real name.
That's documented.
I'm from North Carolina, so
I would not be surprised as we finish out this side of the brackets if a lot of people would take those honorable mentions we had and want to swap out Ernie Ladd. And I understand that, and maybe even John Studd, just from the eras. I would not be surprised if people would. You should put Earthquake in there or something like that. Like, I get that, but no, Ernie Ladd really does belong, at least to have a shot on here.
He does, yeah.
I think. So
yeah, he had a really big run, and he had like several feuds with several high-profile guys that he definitely deserved to be up on here. But let's move on. Let's go to the other side of the bracket. We got The Undertaker versus Bruiser Brody. Scott, you want to start this one off here?
Okay. We're talking favorites again. Undertaker is one of my all-time favorites. People who watch the show know that one. Bruiser Brody was one I didn't know much about, but I was getting a lot of the DVDs, so like the Legacy of the AWA and World Class Triumph and Tragedy and stuff like that. So I learned who Bruiser Brody was, and he's kind of ridiculously awesome. Think Luke Harper, but over and allowed to be.
Ooh,
because Harper is absolutely like riffing off Brody, and it's great. Brody was a wild man, but they always like to call him like a thinking wild man. Like nothing was without like his thought of the consequence of it. Like I'm gonna get in a fight with this guy, maybe I'll lose, probably not, because I'm gonna win. Like it seemed to be that kind of mentality. It wasn't just wild nutso stuff. Like the Berserker John Nord, who didn't even make it onto our other side list here. Huss, that guy. But anything I could say about Bruiser Brody, I mean, he was probably going to be a world champion, all this other stuff. He got murdered in Puerto Rico, and you can read all about it. I fully believe he absolutely was goddamn murdered.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, he was.
And I believe it was Ernie Ladd who actually carried him down because he was the only man big enough because the paramedics couldn't do it.
Yeah, it was
it Ladd?
It was no, wait.
No, I know. Tony Atlas.
Tally Atlas,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, Tony Atlas.
That's it.
Yep.
I'm glad because we just talked about him. But yeah, no, like it's ridiculous that the guy who did it in Vader 1 is like nothing happened, and they tried to reopen it, but it's so much legal bullshit that yeah. Anyway, I mean, we can't talk about Bruiser Brody without that coming up, and if not for that, he would be remembered as one of the greats. He is remembered as one of the greats, and one of the good guys too, which kind of is even more tragic about it. He was just a guy trying to do his job. But then you have the Undertaker, and the best thing I can compare him with is this was around, I want to say, mid '90s, like '96 or so, when they were saying, yeah, he's the modern day Andre the Giant, and that was 20 years ago. Think about that, and look at him now. Yeah, he's lost a couple of manias and made some poor decisions and probably hung around a couple years too long. Really, who doesn't at this point? Even he did. But it's the goddamn Undertaker. He went through as a monster for Hogan into just being this monster who turned face somehow, and it worked even though he was a dead man with the weird mortician guy, and he's from the dark, but he's going to do a Dracula sit-up and not get hurt. Okay. People loved it. And then he started going after the title because he paid his dues fighting monsters like Kamala and shit. And then actually went in there against actual guys and had cool matches with Brett and Nash and things like that. And then, I mean, I can just jump around chronologically. He did that with Orton. He did that with Angle. Triple H with some good matches. Kane, not so good. But he literally has done it all. And, I mean, the only thing left is Hall of Fame for him. And, yeah, I can't not pick Undertaker against Bruiser Brody here. Even though Brody is an easy pick for most, I think, it's Undertaker. He wins this one.
Gotcha. All right. Lee, who you got? Oh, by the way, I didn't say it. Undertaker was billed at 6'10", 300 pounds. Bruiser Brody, 6'8", 283. All right. So, Lee, who you got?
Yeah, both of these guys sort of fall under the more like lean, mean kind of big men. Like, although Undertaker, is billed over 300, he was always kind of he was never a big fat guy. He was always like sort of tall and lean and intimidating kind of guy. Bruiser Brody, same thing. Bruiser Brody's a great worker. He's definitely an inspiration to any independent worker out there because he was a guy who always called his own shots, to his detriment sometimes because he burned a lot of bridges in his career. I don't know if he necessarily ever would have become a world champion in any big promotion. He tried to do a deal with the WWF at one point to work with Hogan, but I think he turned it down. And I think his attitude and his big mouth got him killed because he was, he mouthed off to the wrong person in the wrong place, and unfortunately, Invader 1 fucking stabbed him in the shower. But here's the thing. One of the things that most people don't take into account with Bruiser Brody is that Dave Meltzer basically turned this guy into a fucking god. by the way he's basically sucked Bruiser Brody's dick for ever since he died, basically.
Really?
And Dave Meltzer has this. This is one of Dave Meltzer's biggest flaws, is that, especially with his Hall of Fame picks and all that, he'll put guys out there, he'll float guys out there, and then he'll pick a bunch of people who get ballots for his Hall of Fame that will kind of side with him eventually on some of his picks. So you'll see a Bruiser Brody get in, but you won't see like, I'm blanking, but there's some obvious names that still haven't shown up in his Hall of Fame that should have at this point. Bruiser Brody's really great, but he doesn't have the longevity, and quite frankly, the Undertaker got better over the years as he moved on, like from just standard big man to athletic badass who could do it all, who implemented new stuff into his game. Bruiser Brody was a really great brawler and a pretty good, solid ring worker guy, but he was always working with world-class guys at the same time. Excuse me, all over the world. So it's kind of there's a bit of an illusion there in front of him to a certain extent. I think the Undertaker overall is the more menacing, the more even with the silly bullshit, he's still the more believable big man as far as I'm concerned. And so I got to give the Undertaker a slight pass over Bruiser Brody.
Okay, that's gonna be 2 for Undertaker. 0 for Bruiser Brody. I'll go next. First of all, if Bruiser Brody was in one of our other tournaments that we did, the most hardcore wrestler in the business, you need to go listen to that. That was a really good episode. If you haven't seen that or listened to that, check it out on iTunes or our YouTube page. Go do that right now. We go do a lot more in depth on Bruiser Brody, but. That's actually when I first did a whole bunch of research on Bruiser Brody, so I actually didn't have to do a bunch here, which was nice. Because, again, before I knew who he was, but I had to, I wanted to do brush up and see more into his past and stuff, and watch a lot of, I was about to say film like I'm a fucking football player. Watch fucking film on him, you know, and see how he did. But when it comes to big men, Undertaker is one of the classic, to me, one of the big 90s big men, in the fact that him and Kane are very similar in ways, obviously, even with their story. But Undertaker edges out Kane in like almost every single aspect, I feel, as far as being the big man, the better charisma, the better story, the better, like everything. I feel like Undertaker is just overall better than Kane. So I do feel he was a better big man than Kane, but I don't think when it comes to the whole aspect of the big scope of things, looking at this tournament, I don't feel Undertaker is as big of a big man as you would think, in my eyes anyway. I feel he may be a little overrated when it comes to one of the best big men in the business. So we'll see how far he goes. It's going to be interesting to see how far he goes here. And we'll talk about him more later because I am going to pick him. But I will say Bruiser Brody, he was one of the craziest sons of bitches I ever seen. I just watching him run around the crowd, fucking slinging chairs and doing this. Like I said, he is one of the most well-known big men. He was he was nearly 7 foot tall. And, I mean, he needed to be on this list, but he didn't really utilize that I seen the big man gimmick, I guess, very well. He was more of the wild guy. He would use weapons and fucking stab people and fucking blood everywhere. Like, he was more of a wild man as opposed to using his size and strength really in his matches. And that, I feel like when I went back and looked at a lot of these guys, I feel that some of the things they did kind of masked that they weren't very good wrestlers. Technically, that is. Technically wrestlers. Technical wrestlers, that is. Now, yes, he was a good wrestler in general, but I don't know if he was a very good technical wrestler, and he masked it with his wild side instead of his big man size. So, as good as he is, I'm going to give Undertaker the pass here for the biggest or the best big man in the business. So, I do love Bruiser Brody quite a bit, though, after watching him. But, Peanut, who you got, Undertaker or Bruiser Brody?
No contest for me, to be honest. Bruiser Brody, I know a little bit.
All right, 1 for Bruiser Brody. Got it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, my vote technically here doesn't count, so I might throw my JBL vote back out here.
You pick for real.
No, yeah, I don't know, when I think of Bruiser Brody, I just think of the hardcore stuff. I think of him with blood on his face, the tank top. I also think of Luke Harper. Yeah. But Undertaker, it's kind of weird because they're both big guys, but Undertaker never really worked. I guess he did, but everything I said about Kane, Undertaker did 10 times better. Kind of sucks that all of Kane and Undertaker's matches just never worked for some reason. They just didn't have good chemistry.
I liked one of their WrestleManias. I forget. It might have been the Buried Alive one. I did like one of their matches that they did, but I don't know. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
It's all right. I just was never a big fan, but their builds were always pretty fun. But yeah, Bruiser Brody, I don't know. It's sad. You know, his career got cut short. It's weird. I always heard that he wasn't that nice of a guy, but I must have just been reading different reports than what Scott was reading. But yeah, definitely my vote.
We're talking stuff from 40 years ago in some cases, so yeah.
That's true. But yeah, I didn't want to hold anything against him because I heard he was a douchebag, because maybe he wasn't. He was probably a nice guy. But yeah, the Undertaker takes this one pretty easily for me. Good stuff, though.
All right. Well, that's the second sweep. Undertaker gets 4 votes going on to the second round. Now we go on to the next match. Psycho Sid coming in at 6'9", 320 pounds, going against Big Boss Man, 6'6", 310. I'll go first because I have a lot to say. Well, I'll just go first. Here we go. I'm gonna start with Big Boss Man because I want to say I loved me some fucking Big Boss Man, which I think I'm not the only one in here that loved Big Boss Man. He legit one of my personal favorites, even in this bracket. I mean, I can up there with, for me, it's gonna sound weird, but he's up there with Undertaker for me. I don't know why, but I've always been a huge Big Boss Man fan. He was very quick. He was so fucking smooth. To me, I'm gonna say it right now. He's the best technical wrestler in this tournament. Now, I mean, that's my opinion, but I think he's the best technical wrestler in this tournament. He used his big size pretty well. He did a bunch of splashes. He did all kinds of stuff, like into the corners and stuff, not really from the top rope. But to me, he was one of the greatest hardcore champions ever, by the way. I just want to put that out there. In the WWE, I think he was one of the best hardcore champions they had out of like the 300 that they did have. His matches were fan-fucking-tastic. That's not too much when it goes to his size, but I just wanted to point that out because I'm a Big Boss Man fan. But I remember him being super fucking sweaty. That's one thing I remember about Big Boss Man. He looked gross as shit, but god damn it did I love the Big fucking Boss Man. And who will ever forget his feuds with the Mountie? We're talking Nails. Nails fucking should not be ever remembered. But goddamn, Big Boss Man and Nails, Big Boss Man and Mountie, those are pure fucking gold. If you can't tell, I'm a goddamn Big Boss Man fan. So, having said that, let's go to Psycho Sid, Sid Vicious, whatever the fuck you want to call him. I guess this probably brings a tear to Lee's eye, but one of the forgotten Four Horsemen members, I feel. Most people probably don't even recall he was in the Four Horsemen. He was one of the members.
He's rightly forgotten.
Yeah, I figured. I knew that was the reaction there. But to be honest with you, I never cared for Sid back in the day. I went back, and I've been going back a lot and watching WCW recently, especially since we did the Halloween Havoc Best in the Business episode. I've been going back and watching a lot of WCW, and you know what? This is going to sound weird. I know how bad Lee hates fucking Sid, but I appreciate Sid more now than I did back then. I feel like he's not the best wrestler, obviously. I don't think he's the worst wrestler, though, on this bracket. He's not the best, not the worst. He used his big size relatively well. I mean, he was one of the other big menacing guys in this tournament. We're talking Vader. Psycho Sid would probably be one of the other top guys. I mean, Lesnar now. But one of the top guys as far as the menacing look and the menacing, he just looked like a fucking badass. But I'm surprised this is one of the names that I saw is not in the Hall of Fame that I thought would be in the Hall of Fame. And I have no doubt that he will be in the future. But the last thing I'm going to say about him is, unfortunately, I think one of the biggest things he's going to be remembered for was when he fucking snapped his damn leg in half in WCW. And that was one of the grossest injuries in wrestling anyway, one of the grossest I've ever seen. It was fucking disgusting. And you can go YouTube it. You need to do that if you haven't. But having said that, I got to pick a winner here, and I'm going to pick the Psycho Sid, though. I'm going to pick Psycho Sid for the best big man in the business. As much as I loved Big Boss Man, that's why I had to let you know that, because I feel bad picking against him. I feel bad picking against Big Boss Man, but when it comes to the best big man in the business, I feel like Psycho Sid did a better job playing the big man role than Boss Man did. Boss Man was good. Boss Man was fucking amazing technical wrestler, but I feel that kind of worked against him in the aspect of the best big man in the business. So, sorry I went a little long there, but
I can't believe that. Wow. I thought you were going to go the other way.
Yeah, you may have thought that, Peanut, but I did. How about Peanut? How about you go next? Who are you going to go with here? Psycho Sid or Big Boss Man?
Well, I'm going to go with my nostalgia pick here, because the Big Boss Man, for me, I just thought he was so cool. In the video games, on the TV sets, on the TV commercials. I don't know, he was just, I almost forget that his name's Big Boss Man, but I almost forget that he's like not just like a 6'1" kind of guy, that he's like, what is he, 6'10"?
6'6".
Oh, okay.
That's what he's listed as.
A little bit.
6'6", 310.
Okay. But even looking back, he's one of those guys I'm like, oh, well, crap, he was tall. But yeah, I just always thought he was super cool. I'm sure if I would go back, I actually haven't gone back and watched a lot of his stuff, because I'm afraid if I do, it might ruin it a little bit for me.
Oh, not for Big Boss Man. Not for Big
Boss
Man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, it's great.
Because sometimes that's a mistake if you remember something and then you watch it. So I haven't with him. But Psycho Sid, yeah, I mostly know him for the leg break.
Yeah.
Unlike Bomber, I recommend you do not go watch that on YouTube, because you will cringe every time someone jumps off the rope, the middle rope. Was it the middle rope?
I think it was. Yes, it was. I don't think
middle
it was the
rope.
top rope. It wasn't the top. No, I think it was middle.
It was middle.
It was the middle. But anytime someone jumps off the middle rope for the next 5 years after watching that clip, you're gonna flinch a little bit. So I recommend do not. But my vote's going Big Boss Man, and I'm disappointed because I thought we were gonna have two on the board for the Big Boss Man. So
well, we might right here though. Scott, who you got? Psycho Sid or Big Boss Man or Sid Vicious, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, Sid Vicious, Lord Humongous. You want to keep going? Or Big Boss Man, Guardian Angel, Ray Trailer. There's variations here. Big Bubba.
He was talking to Lee.
Big Bubba. Goddamn. Big Bubba. Big Bubba Rogers.
But I mean, Big Boss Man was awesome. You want to talk about a match that holds up? His WrestleMania match, I think it was, with Mr. Perfect, or the SummerSlam match. I can't remember which one it was. But for the IC title, it was really good. And it really showed you that nobody could move like this guy. Like, it was... the speed for the size is, in a way, reminiscent of Brock Lesnar today. Like, that man should not move like that. It's nuts. He was always fun, always good. And like you said, when he came back in 98 with the hardcore stuff, that was a lot of fun, too. He had a world title feud with The Big Show, and he stole his dad's casket.
Oh my god!
And Big Show wrote on it.
Fucking
and
best.
then he fed him. He fed Al Snow his dog Pepper.
Yep. He's got some memorable moments, man.
But the best part was, of those goofy things, he sold it like this is, I'm the evil bastard. Like he went with it all in. It was pretty great.
He was cool.
And he had two awesome theme songs too. Sid was... You want to talk about wasted potential, and yet he's a 4-time world champion. But it just could have been so much more. There was always that legend of the softball coming up, and he never stayed around. But I liked Sid a lot when he first came into WWE, or WWF back then. I didn't see him beforehand in WCW. And then he left for a while. Then he came back, and it was cool with Undertaker. And then he had a shit match with him, and then he kind of disappeared. And he chokeslams people in ECW, and it's like, huh, okay. But I liked Sid quite a bit for just... I can't really describe it properly. He was fun. He was neat. It was cool.
Presence. He had a good presence as a big.
He did the look. Like, not many have the look quite as good as Sid did.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, like, when we watched those old matches, the Halloween Havocs especially, when I saw that match with Sting, I'm like, man, I love Sid. This match is shit, but I like Sid. Like, it you know, and I like Sting. So, like, this is a cool matchup. Oh man, it sucked, but Sid's fun. I like Sid. Picking this one's hard because I thought immediately I would pick Sid, be like, of course it's Sid. But he was kind of shit. Bossman wasn't kind of shit. Bossman was cool. It was always fun as well. This one's probably the most even for me, and I think I'm going to go with Bossman, despite myself. I kind of think I should pick Sid, but...
Good choice.
I've got to go with Bossman. I'm going with Bossman. Okay. And I'm surprised by myself, but... Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's see what we got. Lee.
The Rock is in your court, Lee.
Listen now. Let Dusty Rose tell you something about this Raid trailer.
There's a big man we forgot. Dusty.
I was a big man with a big splotch on my belly, baby.
True.
But let me tell you something now. This big boss man, this big Raid trailer, this big Bubba, as I coined him. I saw something in the big boss man way before anyone else did. Before he came back in '98 with all the weight loss. I thought he was a great worker. Flacco Sid, he can go home and play with his balls, baby. Because the big boss man is getting the pass in this bracket, baby.
Really? All right.
Ooh, nice.
Wow, that's hilarious. I'm the only person that didn't pick Big Boss Man, and I'm a fucking huge Big Boss Man fan. But
that's because you're a jabroni sucker, baby.
That really should have been a coin toss, honestly.
It was close.
Because I was so close to
match,
Sid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was a good first round match. But moving on. So Big Boss Man gets the pass 3-1 over Psycho Sid. Moving on here, we got Big Show versus Bam Bam Bigelow. Peanut, how about you start this one off? You haven't started one off in a while.
Sure. Bam Bam Bigelow's 8-bit theme song was really cool.
All right. Good start. Good fucking start, by the way.
Hey, he goes with what he knows.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. The Big Show, I don't know, when I first look at this, I honestly just wanted to, like, drag Big Show across, but Bam Bam was cool. And if I'm rolling off of my previous pick, I like my nostalgia idea, where if it was cool to me then, it'll be cool to me now. But in honesty, I know Bam Bam Bigelow mostly for his 8-bit theme song and highlights and stuff from the YouTube. Big Show, on the other hand, is, you know, when you think of the best big man, I'm sure people listening, they thought Andre the Giant, Big Show, maybe Undertaker, probably Braun Strowman because he's fresh in your mind. But because of that, I also got to vote Big Show because he's the Big Show.
All right, so that's one for the Big Show. Lee, who you got here?
This is the bracket where you can really make the argument that both of these guys were never fully utilized to their full potential. Big Show has been really great in spurts. Like, when he decided to give a fuck and he got in shape, he's really fucking great. And I think he's a really good worker, actually. Especially for someone who was just kind of thrown into the business, like his first match without any real training or anything like that, and managed to somehow survive like the really toxic 1990s and still have a career into the 2000s. It's pretty fucking amazing. That being said, Bam Bam Bigelow has always consistently been good. And he's always been a really good big man who can fly around, and he's a believable big man who can fly around and hurt people. Big Show, just sometimes he was just too goddamn lazy and out of shape, and he's been jobbed out so many times, man. Like, I mean, Bam Bam Bigelow's had his share of fucking jobs in the big companies, but Big Show, I think even Big Show says, like, I think he said on like Stone Cold's podcast or something that he had like won a match like for like half a year at one point in the company. Like, he was just constantly losing all the time. So I gotta go Bam Bam Bigelow.
Wow. Okay, there we go. One for Bam Bam Bigelow, one for Big Show. I'll jump in there. I'm going to be a little biased here as far as Bam Bam Bigelow goes, but I forgot to do their damn sizes and everything. Big Show, 7 foot tall, 380 pounds. I think that 380 is like now because he's he's gotten a lot better shape, but he was over 400 usually build. Bam Bam Bigelow, 6'4", 390 is what he was billed as. So there you go. There's the numbers there. I'll start with Bam Bam Bigelow real quick. The reason that I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for Bam Bam Bigelow is because my dad and him wrestled several times in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't know if it was – I know it was in the South Carolina, North Carolina area. I don't know if it was still territory. I don't know what the fuck it was called back then. I guess Indies maybe. But I was so young. I was probably like 3 or 4 back then, so I don't really remember those matches. I just know that my dad wrestled him several times back then. So I've always had a special attraction to him knowing that. But having said that, though, Bam Bam Bigelow was a fucking amazing wrestler. He was another one. I would put him in the top 3 in this tournament as far as best wrestlers, actual wrestlers. He was another big dude that hits moonsaults. He knew how to get hardcore when it came time. He used his size pretty well, and I was won over big time when I saw him take on Lawrence Taylor in that when we did the WrestleMania. When him and Lawrence Taylor put on a fucking damn good match, I was like, you know what? Yeah. Fucking Bam Bam Bigelow is the fucking man. That solidified him as like one of my favorite big guys. And who forget the fucking the tattoos on the skull and whatnot, and the flame outfit. It all just looked really cool back in the day. He was another guy that had a lot better success probably in Japan and stuff than he did in WWE. But I watched a bunch of I'm always watching like shoot interviews and stuff, and I remember watching one with Bam Bam Bigelow where he talked about he's like one of the best job guys in the business. He's like, I'll come in there. He's like, I don't care. Yeah, I'll come in. I'll job out. He said, I've done hundreds of jobs. He's like, he credits himself as being like one of the best job guys, which is hilarious to me. But having said that, going on to the Big Show, I really do like the Big Show quite a bit. I know he did have his ups and downs, as we talked about. I liked him as the Giant in WCW. He was one of my favorite guys in WCW. I know he was green as shit. He didn't know what he was doing. Like, the matches weren't that good, but man, he played that fucking character, the big man role, better than almost anyone.
You know what his best character was in WCW?
Oh God, here comes. What's that?
It was the phase where he'd come down to the ring smoking cigarettes. It was the I don't give a fuck Giant.
I don't remember that.
Like, you don't remember that? It was like a brief. It might only been like a couple months in the company, where he'd come down to the ring smoking a cigarette, and he'd be standing in the ring smoking a cigarette, and people would be booing him like, I don't give a fuck. I'm smoking a cigarette.
I'd have to go back and watch. That sounds amazing.
It's gonna be like the worst idea for a character ever, but I laugh every time I see it.
No, it's extra hilarious because he's big and it's a small cigarette.
Yeah.
Like the size
looks
is
like
off,
a toothpick
remember?
in his hand. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, I think he had to use like a lady cigarette, and even then it was like tiny as fuck. You know, lady cigarettes are usually longer, right?
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, as much as I like Bam Bam, I like Big Show just as much, and I think he used the big man role a little bit better than Bam Bam Bigelow did. So I'm gonna give my vote to the Big Show, and that means we're going down to Scott. What you gonna do, Scott?
This one is honestly very much similar to Sid and Bossman in a way, because Bigelow's the much better worker, but Big Show's the much better known big guy.
Yep.
Bam Bam, honestly, you get the head tattoos and stuff. I really remember him from the very first Survivor Series, where he teamed. I had to look this up. He teamed with Hogan, Morocco, Ken Patera, and Paul Orndorff against Andre, Bundy, One Man Gang, Butch Reed, and Rick Rude.
Oh, damn.
And at one point, a lot of guys got eliminated, and it was like Bigelow against Andre, Bundy, and Gang, or some shit like that. It was like, oh, what's he going to do? And it was cool, because he was like, all right, come and get me. You can't. And he was able to work around them and stuff, and it was like, it was a lot of fun. That was his real coming out party, and his even initial debut was what manager is going to get Bam Bam.
Right.
Who is Bam Bam? Who is Bam Bam? What manager is going to get him? Then it was Oliver Humperdinck, and yeah. So, and you go to the Lawrence Taylor match, and you go to the WCW stuff where he was after Goldberg, not giving a crap. ECW World Champion as well, with feuding with Van Dam. Then he lost to Taz, I think it was, with crazy matches there.
Yeah, one of the best spots ever in an ECW show. Where
with the Taz mission? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff. And then, like you said, the Big Show is inconsistent, but I kind of want to give him my vote here. Even it's the reverse of what I said with Sid, but I just didn't see Bam Bam as good as Boss Man. And you know, if you flip that, but Big Show did so much more than Sid did, I feel. So if I use my argument from the other one, it's all Big Show on that one. So yeah.
All right. So that's going to be 3 for Big Show. The Big Show is going to get the advance over Bam Bam Bigelow. Yeah, those last 2 matches are pretty damn close, I feel.
Very similar, too.
Yeah, very similar, yeah. All right, so here we go. Going to our final match in the first round, we have Brock Lesnar, who was billed as the smallest guy in the tournament, pretty much. He was 3'6". He was a little bit taller than Rikishi, but he was
3'6".
Sorry, 6'3". 6'3".
Pretty small.
Sorry, he is very, very small. 6'3", 285 pounds. So he's the lightest guy in the tournament and just a little bit taller than Rikishi. So, yeah. So he's pretty much the smallest guy in the tournament, going up against King Kong Bundy, who was 6'4", not much taller, but 450 pounds. Lee, you want to start this one off here?
In this one, honestly, Bundy's another guy who doesn't necessarily utilize the monster thing all that well compared to like Brock Lesnar. Like Brock Lesnar is he's basically the machine, right? Like he's the fucking wrestling machine who he knows what to do to you. Every move he uses is devastating, and there's like basically no way you can get through his offense. Big King Kong Bundy is more the guy that you can run around. Eventually you can body slam and get the victory or whatever. I mean, King Kong Bundy had some kind of cool, he had the cool 5-count gimmick and shit like that, you know, like that kind of worked for him back in the 80s and stuff. And I mean, he is a really good worker, I would say, but you never really saw it in his big televised national sort of runs. Brock Lesnar's just way more impressive than King Kong Bundy as far as a worker and a monster goes, as far as I'm concerned. So I got to go for Brock on this one.
All right, it's 1 for Brock Lesnar. I'll go real quick. Actually, while you were talking, I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier. I always paired King Kong Bundy and George the Animal Steel together, and we didn't even think about George the Animal Steel. I don't know why. I mean, I guess same era, same time frame. But George the Animal Steel was kind of another big guy, more of like a character, I guess. But
yeah, but Steel was kind of short and basically just fat. Like he wasn't like
maybe not more of a big man. He was more of a fat man instead of just a big man. But no, King Kong Bundy. I was never really a big fan of King Kong Bundy, and I actually would have liked to have replaced him on this list. I feel like he was. I mean,
Earthquake should have been there.
I think this was a spot I had Earthquake, because I've always tried to sneak Earthquake onto these tournaments, but somehow he gets weaseled off. I don't know how it happened, because we talked about this a long time ago, but he got weaseled off. But I will say King Kong Bundy, not a big fan of his. He never did it for me. He was always, I know he was big, but he was just too slow. He was too, I don't know, man. He just didn't really do it for me at all. I never liked his matches. When we did the WrestleMania thing, just for example, for stuff I've already talked about, that match sucked to me. I know Matt Zion was like a big fan of that match. I don't know, man. King Kong Bundy, to me, I hate to say it, he just sucked. I'll just come out and say it. I think King Kong Bundy sucked.
Matt likes bar wrestling, so what does that tell you?
Yeah, that's enough of that. Fucking bar wrestling. But no, I think King Kong Bundy, just to be blunt, I think
bar wrestling is great.
Oh my God, Peanut!
Are we going there?
Jizz into the mic? No, get out of here. No, he just sucked. Just to be blunt, sorry, but I didn't like King Kong Bundy at all. I don't know what it was about him. It just didn't work. Brock Lesnar, I don't really think he played the big man role as perfect until he started doing the Suplex City. And that's when, to me, he started absolutely dominating people. He was always the much faster, the big, super fast, powerful guy That's how I pictured him back in the day. But once Suplex City kicked in, now to me he plays more of the big man role, where he played it perfect against AJ Styles just recently. Just goddamn, just fucking manhandling him, slinging him around, slinging people around. He did it with Cena. And I almost want to say that he's going to be very hard to beat in this tournament, to me, I think. But Brock Lesnar has kind of, to me, perfected the big man role as of late, and the fact that he's a modern guy might go against him in this tournament. But I'm going to pick Brock Lesnar as my pick. Scott, who you got?
Well, Brock Lesnar, I think you kind of said it there. He's recent, but he's really refined it. He wasn't doing the big man stuff so much before he left. He really came back with the domineering aspect of it. That's where it really comes in there. And I said it before when I was talking about, God, who was it? I think was Bossman. Lesnar can move like no other. And that's not just, oh, it's in wrestling or whatever. No, in the UFC, he's fighting guys that are 260-some pounds, the same cut weight, and he's moving circles around them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and that's legit sporting athleticism. He's a freak. King Kong Bundy's a walking brick. And I don't mean charisma-wise, he, like, can't bend. He's like this giant mass. It's crazy.
I picture the Blob when I think of him. He's just like,
yeah, he was fine, but he's no Brock. That's an easy one for me. So Brock Lesnar wins that one. And I don't want to, not to discredit King Kong Bundy, but there's not much to be said about him. I mean, Bruiser Brody had respect for him, I think, because when he went to a territory with the Bruiser, he used the name King Kong Brody when the Bruiser was in the same territory.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
I knew that, but yeah.
Looking at the list, I would have definitely picked fucking Earthquake over this. Abdullah the Butcher.
Honestly,
almost Great Khali, but he's better than Great Khali. I'll give him that.
Charisma-wise, that's debatable.
Charisma-wise, yes. Yes, he wasn't
Bundy,
that bad.
I remember Bundy having the match with Undertaker during the whole $1 Million Corporation thing when they stole the urn at Mania. And I remember him body slamming him, and I went, well, Taker was able to tombstone Mark Henry. And I went, oh yeah, Mark Henry. He's a better big man than King Kong Bundy. So
we didn't even talk about Mark Henry. You're right. Mark Henry is a possible name that we could have talked about. But again, if we didn't think about it, they probably shouldn't have been on the list. So.
And what did I say? I'm probably going to come up with a name that we'll all be like, oh yeah.
Yep.
I never think of Mark Henry as a big guy like that. Yet he absolutely is. So
So
Brock this one for me.
All right. So that's 3 for Brock. Peanut, rounding it out. Who you got here? Brock or King Kong Bundy?
Yeah. Brock Lesnar. Yeah. Brock Lesnar. King Kong Bundy. Yeah.
This is insightful.
A lot of things could change here. Things could come into play, but Brock Lesnar. Yeah.
I love how you broke that down.
Yeah.
All right. So
very, very succinct, very detailed.
No, you guys have literally said anything. Bomber was literally taking my thoughts out of my head.
That's what I do.
About the whole. Sometimes I wouldn't say this is what you do, but it's kind of weird. When I first saw Lesnar, he kind of stuck out on this list. Blah. But when you really start thinking about it, it's like, yeah, he is a really good quote unquote big man worker. Because my first thought is like his 2003, 2002 stuff where he didn't kind of work that style, but now that he works as the quote unquote beast, yeah, my vote goes to King Kong Bundy.
God damn it. All right, so Brock Lesnar advances over King Kong Bundy, either 4-0, 3-1, whatever you want to look at it. But either way, Brock Lesnar moves on. And that is it for the first round, guys. We are going to jump right in here to the second round. And, I just feel a little bad because I usually don't go hard on people. But, man, I just didn't like King Kong Bundy. But anyway, here we go. We got, in the second round, Vader versus Kevin Nash, only because I really don't know what he's going to pick. I'm going to say Lee should start this one off.
Yeah, okay. Vader, moving on.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Vader, here's the key here. Both of them, I guess you could kind of convincingly say they're both monsters. For Kevin Nash, it's kind of iffy, but Vader actually has offense. Kevin Nash, he has 5 moves, and one of them's a fucking hair flip. Come on, dudes. Let's just get real.
All right, so that's a Vader pick, I assume. That's gonna
Yeah.
be that's one for Vader. Peanut, who are you going with here, Vader or Kevin Nash?
Well, we barely voted Kevin Nash over Big John Studd. So,
True.
with that said, I also got to go with Vader, just to keep this thing moving. Even though I voted for Rikishi last time, but that was more of a paying my respects to
Sure,
big man.
I understand that. All right, so that's 2 for Vader.
Yeah, Vader.
All right, 2 for Vader. Scott, who you got?
Well,
JBL.
yeah. It's funny because when I saw the names on our spreadsheet here, my brain went Big Daddy Vader and went, oh yeah, Mabel.
Mabel.
Oh,
You're just going back looking for fucking names we didn't pick. God damn it.
I'm surprised we didn't pick him. Big
I
Daddy
am
V,
too.
Mabel.
Yeah, Big
Anyway,
Daddy V.
that's all the time I need to spend not talking about why Kevin Nash would win. So my pick is Vader.
All right, there we go. Vader's gonna
Best
get
big man. Best big man. China.
China. That would be it. All right, so Vader.
Bertha Faye.
I'm also gonna pick Vader is because I picked John Studd over Kevin Nash, but I mean that pretty much says everything right there. But yeah, Vader. We'll talk about him in the next round, but Vader gets my vote here as well. So that's a clean sweep for Vader going on to the next round. Sorry, Kevin Nash. But moving on. Now this one's gonna be a little bit closer. This one's gonna be a little bit tighter. Andre the Giant versus Yokozuna. I want to hear who Peanut is going to start with here for Andre the Giant versus Yokozuna in the second round. This is a big fucking match.
Want me to set the tone here? Okay.
Set the tone. This could be a finals almost if they were on opposite sides, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say too many good things about Andre the Giant in the first round, which was just because I wanted to get I don't know. I kind of regret picking Kane. That was dumb. If I could take all those words back.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Boom them up and spit out. Yeah. Maybe not that extreme, but yeah, Andre the Giant. I kind of said with the Big Show, he's, when you think of this list, he's your number 1, number 2 name that's popping up in your head, and then there's all these other guys who fill out the list and might surprise you and actually win when you actually think about it more. Yokozuna, I voted for Rikishi. He's definitely a bigger version of Rikishi. This is good stuff.
Sorry, that
They're
does
cousins.
crack me up. Yeah.
They are cousins.
This is tough. I don't even really have words because it's a hard split. But I think I'm going with the original. I'm gonna go with Andre the Giant.
Going with Andre the Giant. Okay, that's 1 vote for Andre the Giant. Scott, how about you go next?
Also surprisingly difficult in a way, because I think Yokozuna did a bit more later because he had to. Because to think about it, Andre died in 93, and Yoko was around then, so it wasn't just a case of it wasn't just a case of like showing up and having to be a big guy. It was literally in the shadow of and stuff like that, right? And then they were putting the belt on him, and can he do it in his own way? And he did. But it was still following, and I got to go with Andre on that one. Not just because the first did it better, because I voted against that before, but I just think he did do it better than Yoko did. He did. Just overall, Andre had a better, not persona with it, but it worked better for him, I think. That's this, yeah.
Okay. Lee, who you got?
Oh man, this one is a bit tougher. I think this maybe boils down to who I enjoyed watching work more than anything else. Because I think Yokozuna, even in his short time, has quite the legacy and is just as memorable in certain ways as Andre the Giant is. But man, I just loved watching Yokozuna work more. He was more of he was more of an active, like, he could just fly around the ring a lot better than Andre could, even in his prime. Andre the Giant was always this kind of the guy who stood there and people bounced off him. And in a lot of his matches early on were basically battle royals where he just stood there and people tried to gang up on him and he threw them off. Whereas Yokozuna was like actively going after people and actively attacking them and smashing into them and shit. So that sort of scores a lot of extra weight on Yokozuna's side for me. And yeah, I'm going to have to go with Yokozuna on this one.
Oh, fuck off. Here we go. Okay. All right. So that's 2 for Andre the Giant, 1 for Yokozuna. And here we go. All right.
Coin flip? Coin flip.
We just may be looking at a coin flip, guys. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to talk my way through because I haven't really decided yet. Andre the Giant. Oh, God. Oh, man. You know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to do it right here. I'm going to pick Andre the Giant. I'm going to fucking do it. I'm just going to pick Andre the Giant. When it's bottom line, as I've said in all these tournaments, I always say, I close my eyes and I say, who's the best in the business? Who's the best big man in the business? Is it Yokozuna or Andre the Giant? And as close as it is, Andre the Giant, to me, comes out on top as the best big man in the business. So that's going to be 3-1 for Yokozuna. I actually would like a coin toss, but I just can't do it. I have to go Andre. Sorry, everybody, all the Yokozuna fans out there. But,
believe me, if Andre the
coin...
Giant went out due to a coin toss, we would never hear the end of it.
That's true.
I'm just shocked we haven't had a coin toss yet.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Me too.
Oh, that's coming.
Yeah, this is the longest we've went with an even number of people with no coin toss. So Andre the Giant gets the advance past Yokozuna. All right, moving on to the next match. Undertaker versus the Big Boss Man. Holy shit. Peanut, how about you start this one off again?
Man, really tossing me over top of the bridge there.
Yep.
Just made up that expression right there on the spot.
Over
Clever
top of the bridge.
You knew what it meant.
I'm putting myself over. That's what I'm doing. Gotta get.
And he's stalling.
Yeah. Undertaker. I just kind of said the last round how much I like the Big Boss Man, nostalgia-wise, and even though I haven't looked up his stuff, it's because I want to keep fond memories. Even though I've seen the clips and stuff, but he's so cool. But I guess in terms of best big men, being cool can only get you so far, and Undertaker is the coolest cat there is. Yeah, I'm really stalling here when I look at these names.
Did you say he's cold as the grave?
There it is. Cold as the grave
I like that.
crawled out of.
Yeah, I got to go with Undertaker. Just longevity. He's the dead man. Okay. He's walking. He's walking into the finals.
All right.
He's walking into
we'll see. He's got
to becoming the best big man ever.
All right. Well, we'll see. That's 1 for Undertaker. I'll go real quick. Already said a whole bunch about how I love Big Boss Man. But I will also just tack on to that. He, to me, was a fantastic face. Everybody loved Big Boss Man with his whole blue shirt, the whole, the strap and all that, the nightstick. But when he came back, he was just as good as a fucking heel. He was a great fucking goon for Vince McMahon with the corporation. Thank God he kept that nightstick. But he almost was the Shield look before the Shield, pretty much. They pretty much just copied Big Boss Man's run when he came back as a heel. But yeah, unfortunately, I picked Psycho Sid over Big Boss Man because I feel Big Boss Man didn't really utilize the big man role, even though he's got big in his name, as well as Psycho Sid did. And you know what? I don't think he did it as well as The Undertaker did either. Again, as much as I love Big Boss Man, I'm going to go Undertaker. Big Undertaker, he played the role as the big guy a little bit better. So I'm going Undertaker. Lee, who you got?
All right, that's a road star a lot, Big Boss Man, Ray Trailer, baby, if you will. But here's the thing. I saw that leak out of the soul of the Big Boss Man when The Undertaker hung him like a hanged man with a noose in a cage, baby.
Such a cool clip.
Oh my God, I didn't
Such a cool clip.
Say anything.
So the Undertaker default wins because he straight up murdered Ray Trailer, baby, in that match.
Oh God.
So, case closed, rest in peace, Big Boss Man.
That's great. By the way, it sounds like you bit your tongue. That's but
yeah.
Towards the end there, he was fighting back his own.
But that I completely forgot about the Hell in a Cell, Big Boss Man Undertaker. It was fucking fantastic, horrible Hell in a Cell match.
Oh, horrible.
It was a bad.
Rose had the cold.
It was one of the worst Hell in a Cell matches. I think everybody can agree on that one. But
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
True, that
we're
is
all
my
entitled
opinion.
to opinions.
that's true.
And my opinion is that I thought it was pretty bad in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, Scott, who you going with here?
Well, even though we're doing a tournament for the best big man, and he has that in his name as the big boss man, I'm going with the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Bonus points.
Not even that can overcome it. So, it's, I mean, like you said, everything about Boss Man is great. He was originally a heel, don't forget, then turned face, and then left and came back.
True.
But I mean, you want to say he could do it all, and he kind of did, but that pales compared to what Undertaker has done. So, if you go on accomplishments or just ability or the stuff, it's Taker.
All right. So Undertaker gets a clean sweep over Big Boss Man. And rounding out the second round, we got Big Show versus Brock Lesnar. Holy crap, this is another tough one. I think this is another tough one, personally anyway. Scott, how about you start this one off?
No.
Oh, okay.
You gave me the option. No, I'm kidding.
Can you do that? Are we allowed to do that?
I guess if you really don't want to go first.
No, I'm just being silly, but I gave him ammunition. I'm sorry, Bomber. I've ruined it all. No, Big Show is... Yeah, he's big, but Brock Lesnar can do so much more in every way except be that tall. But Brock makes it so it doesn't matter if you're that tall, because he'll still F5 you or suplex you in a German or a belly-to-belly, even if you're Big Show, and it doesn't matter. And that's not why he beats him, but he does beat him in this. It's just... When I think about the best big man, like, yeah, it's not just who utilized that ability more. A Big Show doesn't... Yeah, he's infinitely bigger of a man, but the best part doesn't apply, if that's as... That's as haphazard as I can list it. Brock's just better in damn near every way. So, Brock Lesnar.
All right. Lee, who you going with here?
Yeah, Scott pretty much summed it up. Brock Lesnar's just better in every conceivable way than the Big Show. He's just, I mean, they've dropped the ball here and there on Brock as far as some shitty booking decisions, like when he came back and lost immediately, like to Cena. Like, he never should have lost to Cena at all in that feud. But, I mean, overall, he's been probably the strongest booked monster of the modern era, this modern era anyway, the 2000s. Big Show, you can't say that for him. Like we said before in the previous round, he's just jobbed to everybody to the point where he's not effective anymore. And I mean, when you get the motherfucker coming on TV and crying all the time, yeah, you're not going to see Brock Lesnar crying on TV. Like, it's not going to happen. He's just too well protected. So Brock Lesnar wins.
All right, that's 2 for Lesnar, 0 for Big Show. I'll go real quick. When I was looking at the names of this, I thought Big Show... I know might sound weird, but I pictured Big Show and, like, Andre the Giant facing off in the finals. Like, before thinking about anything else, just looking at the names, first instinct. When I think about the best big men in the business, I just somehow pictured those two facing off in the finals. Now, after going in and looking at it in detail, I don't think that's I don't think that's going to happen here, because I think I'm going with Brock Lesnar here as well, because, like I said earlier, he perfected, I feel, the big man role. And as much as I want to pick the Big Show, because think about it. How many times has Big Show broke the fucking ring? How many times has Big Show just manhandled everyone? Like, he's done everything. Yes, he's had ups and downs. He's just played that big man role so well. But having said that, these two have actually fought each other several times. And Lesnar will even just get him up, and I'm pretty sure he F5'd him before. I'm off the top of my head, I think so. I'll have to go back and check.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I may be wrong, but I feel like I remember visually seeing him F5. If not, I'm seeing it in my head. I'm making that shit up.
No, he definitely has.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But
I'm confirming it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just gonna go Lesnar. I didn't anticipate me picking him over Big Show, but I'm gonna do it. I think he's the better big man overall. And that's what I'm gonna say. Brock Lesnar for my vote. Peanut, go for it.
I mean, whatever I vote for doesn't count. So JBL.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I fucking knew it.
No,
knew it.
but in today's modern role of things, Brock Lesnar has this formula that's working. We complain about it a little bit because it can be tiresome and predictable.
You
Sometimes
guys
to
complain
their
about it. I don't complain about it.
Oh, okay. But it can kind of work in that advantage with like the AJ match. They kind of fooled all of us. Well, okay, not all of us, but most of us. I don't know where I'm going with this. Brock Lesnar.
All right, thank you. There we go. All right, Brock Lesnar gets the win. Clean sweep over Big Show. I think that's a little bit. I can see some people seeing that as an upset. Not huge upset, but I can see that.
They're what we call mocks, baby.
When people look at what this list would be, people think, okay, Andre, Big Show, who else?
Yeah.
Like, that's just that's who you think of. So.
Yep. All right.
But as is seen in our tournaments, that means nothing.
That does mean nothing in our tournaments. We fucking, we surprise everyone in our tournament. So here we go. Semifinals. We got Vader versus Andre the Giant. I think Scott should start this one off here.
Okay. Fuck.
Yep.
So Andre the Giant is Andre the Giant.
That's why I picked you first.
Yeah, that kind of like says enough. And I'm like, I know the history, I know everything, and all this stuff about you know what I mean. I'm really stalling. But Andre is the eighth wonder of the world, and people who don't even know wrestling know that. Like that's who this guy is. He transcended it, perhaps as much as a Hogan or a Stone Cold, like that kind of thing. Like he was that, and there's a Hall of Fame because of him. Like this kind of shit. And Vader, I mean, he's not even in the Hall of Fame yet, but he's easily one of my favorites to watch. His stuff holds up. He beats the shit out of you. Andre did too, but that's because he was just a giant man and couldn't help it. Vader, that's how he worked. I would have loved to have seen a match with Vader and Andre. That would have been incredible.
That would have been fun.
That would have been really cool. I don't know who would win. I still don't know who to pick. I'm literally looking at this going, I don't think I'm going to pick Andre. Like it's...
If that's your opinion, I mean, do what you gotta do.
Like overall, who is better? Like what your definition of a big man is? He's a big guy who does whatever. Okay, Andre, but Vader is much better in a lot of ways than Andre. Maybe not in charisma, but he's no slouch. Like the ways that Andre was better than Vader, it's not like Vader was completely deficient in. Like he still was super over. Good guy, bad guy, didn't matter. Did his thing. Yeah, I know I'm going to probably get hate for this for not picking Andre, but I got to go with Vader on this one. And that's not just my bias. I really think Vader wins out on this one. And I'm probably wrong. And I know the audience is like, "Oh, the fuck."
No, I mean, that's your thing. That's your thing. All right, so that's one for Vader over Andre the Giant. Peanut, you're going next.
Sure I am.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah,
it is. These are the ones where I stare at the
This is
screen.
easily one of the hardest semifinals we've ever had.
I think so. I think this may go down as one of our hardest semifinal matches.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, anybody who made it this far, like, I wouldn't be mad if they ended up winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, where I think it was the music one where we were all kind of like, that's what we decided on.
Yeah.
Well, it was bound to get hard with us feeling up all these men.
Yeah, feeling up all these big men.
Yeah, they're rock solid. Dead air. Dead air. Because we've already covered our likes, our dislikes, our reasonings for moving them on. So I'm just trying to think out loud. Vader, scary, intimidating presence, the aura Vader. Andre the Giant, the original. The name, like I said it before, when you brought up that we're doing this, the first name that popped in my head next to Big Show. I gotta go with the original again. I gotta go with Andre the Giant in terms of he holds up in terms of name value and what you think of in terms of the best big man in the business.
Okay. All right. That's one for Andre the
Question
Giant.
mark. Oh, and that with a question mark.
Okay.
Still.
Oh, I thought you picked Andre.
I did.
Oh.
But my confidence was at question mark.
Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, Lee, who do you have in this match?
Let's see. Yeah, if you're gonna like rate on like just sort of general notoriety and crossover value and how well known they are, Andre the Giant is definitely the more well known and notorious guy. I mean, even if it's just you know him from The Princess Bride, what do you know Vader from outside of wrestling? Boy Meets World.
Oh God, yeah.
An episode of Baywatch that he was on. Or unfortunately, maybe you saw that really bad period in WCW where he was part of that White Castle of Fear skit with against Davey Boy and Sting. It was Vader and was it Sid? I think one of those ones. It was bad. It had Cheatham the Midget in it. It was terrible. But Vader's still just the more convincing, like, monster and big guy. Like, he combines those two things to perfection, and he's got more of a believable kind of menacing style, as far as I'm concerned, that kind of solidifies him as the better big man. Andre the Giant, he's kind of got the more, even when he was a heel, you never really wanted to hate the guy, really. He was always kind of just the big, kind of, gentle giant kind of thing for the most part. Yeah, Vader. I still go with Vader. He's the more convincing guy for me. I'm trying to think of like more precise reasons to say, but it's just at this point it's like gut feeling kind of thing.
Well, boys and girls, I'm next, and it's 2-1.
What's the vote count?
Vader has 2. Andre the Giant has 1. And I'll just tell you right off the bat, we're going to be doing a coin toss because I am going to be going with Andre the Giant. As successful as Vader was, we're talking several world titles, not in WWE, that is, of everywhere else, Japan and WCW. The better worker, the more entertaining guy. Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. I give him the more menacing person, obviously, yes. But the best big man in the business, I gotta go with Andre the Giant. I mean, yeah, he was definitely more well known, but just in the ring, he was known as the big fucking giant. He was the big man. So, based on that, yes, I would rather watch a Vader match over an Andre the Giant match. That's not what I'm doing here today. I'm picking best big man in the business, and the best big man in the business was Andre the Giant. So that's a tie.
Good pick.
That's a tie.
So how does this work now?
So you want me to call? Or?
So that
I agree, though. Like, Andre's the reason
Lee calls it, right?
And then, but
yes, what's going to happen is I'm going to flip a coin. Lee is always our designated coin toss caller. He's going to call our heads or tails. If he's right, it goes to his pick, which was Vader. If he's wrong, it goes to the other pick, which is Andre the Giant. So, are you ready, Lee?
Yes.
All right, I have the digital coin flip. Just shout out to justflipacoin.com for providing us with this digital coin. Here we go.
Sure.
And I click it. Call it.
Tails.
It is heads.
Oh, fuck.
It is heads. I promise to you. It is heads. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a very good, maybe one of the best semifinal matches we've done. But Andre the Giant will advance past Vader, going to the finals.
Yeah, it's fine.
And yeah, I don't think anybody's going to disagree or get mad at that. But yeah, as good as Vader was, either guy could have advanced. And I'm going to go with the next match. Let's do it, guys. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Talk about these guys have faced off several times. They feuded. They had a big Undertaker. Granted, he was the biker version pretty much, but well, no, because he came back as they did the whole. They fought each other more than you would probably think.
Jeez, bomber.
Yeah, geez. Yeah.
Who ended the streak?
Who ended the streak? I think that was Roman Reigns. I think Roman. No, I'm kidding. Yes.
Best big man right there.
Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. We're gonna start it off. I think Lee should start this one off, and good luck. This is gonna be tough.
Yeah,
this is tough.
Yeah,
this is a tournament, my friends. This is a tournament.
This one's tough because this is essentially the sort of a real legacy guy, like a real legend against like a future legend who is essentially the modern day version of Vader when you think about it. Like he's very much this. Lesnar's very much the same mold as Vader, just not as heavy around the gut. That's basically the difference.
I can see that.
Fuck, and these two kind of defined, like they kind of helped define each other. Like Undertaker made Brock Lesnar a better worker and more of a monster, and Lesnar kind of made Undertaker a better worker too with their matches together, because Undertaker was forced to put more techniques into his matches and his MMA stuff that he threw in there, and you could say their last couple matches weren't all that good, but their feuds, their sort of feud over the years kind of helped make each other or solidify each other even more so than they would have been. Fuck. Maybe in this case, it probably comes down to how fucking silly some of the Undertaker stuff was. Before he got sort of ultra serious and they stopped doing so much of the theatrical light show and trying to convince everyone, oh, he's got supernatural powers. Like, get the fuck out of here. Brock Lesnar's never been presented in any way really other than a serious guy. Like, I think maybe once he did a little bit of a comedy skit, I think in the Eddie Guerrero feud where he came out to
sombrero and the
with sombrero and stuff.
Maracas, yeah.
But I mean, that was just a heel thing he was doing. I mean, at the same time, in that period, he was the same guy who took, what's his name, Zach Gowen, and like ripped off his fake leg and pushed him down the stairs or whatever the fuck.
Yes.
So I mean, yeah. So I mean, Lesnar's always been sort of presented as the super serious motherfucker that you don't fuck with, and that's enough to tip him over the edge for me. The Undertaker just has a little too many silly moments under his belt. I mean, I'm not trying to throw any disrespect on the Undertaker, but when I think about big guys who are badasses and who I take more seriously, Brock Lesnar wins when I look back at his career compared to the Undertaker's at this point. So gonna have to go Brock Lesnar.
All right, that's one from Brock Lesnar. I'll go real quick. Wow, I don't want people to think that Brock Lesnar is making it this far based off of, you know, he's like a main eventer right now, and that almost like the reason we didn't put Strowman in is because I feel like him being so current, since he's fresh, we're just gonna advance him just because. I hope people aren't thinking that we're putting Brock Lesnar over for that. Yes, he did recently in the years perfect his big man role, but I think that is why he pretty much made that. Well, he was probably going to make it either way, but to me, that is why my votes have went the way they have, and I voted for Lesnar this far, is because of how he's perfected the role, and it's not just because he's still main eventing, and he's, as of this recording, the current Universal Champion. So, having said that, I've picked both of these guys every single match all the way through. That's interesting. That usually doesn't happen for me. But here we are, and it's Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. I'm going to have to side with I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar, man. I'm going to do it. It's not for me. It's not the real versus the cheesy stuff. It's more of he is the bigger big man. Undertaker is the more of the character role as far as not quite a monster, but he's more of a character. and his character isn't so much a big man. It's more of, well, I sound like cheesy saying dead man, but he's not, his character isn't centered around him being just a big man. And Lesnar's he's a big, mean, tough, fast, powerful motherfucker. And I think that's why I'm going with Brock Lesnar. Based off of that, I think he is the better big man in the business. So that's me, Brock Lesnar. Peanut, who you going with here? Lesnar or Undertaker?
Undertaker.
Okay, well, just straight out of the back, or just
Because
okay.
This little cliffhanger there. Because Undertaker's his career has lasted forever. His ability to adapt to and staying fresh as a quote unquote big man and not needing to rely on just choke slam, foot on the chest, 1, 2, 3.
That is true.
So there is two sides to this argument. Neither are obviously wrong, but when I see best big man, I don't necessarily, you do think you're Andre the Giant, you think Big Show, but Undertaker, yes, he's 6'10", 250 pounds. He can work like that, and he has, but he can also blend in with someone like Shawn Michaels and put on classics and be a generally great performer. So, and Brock Lesnar kind of he's flat, I kind of feel, and it's good, but in terms of longevity, and I think just overall, I got to go with Undertaker.
All right, that's 2-1. By the way, Peanut, good job. That was the best. Finally, you get in there and you fucking dig in and you start explaining shit. That was a good one. So
I broke character. Damn it.
You wait. Yeah, you broke character as the motherfucker that doesn't say anything. So that means we're leaving it up to Scott here. Big decision here. 2-1. Brock Lesnar over the Undertaker at the moment. Are we gonna have another coin toss, or is Lesnar gonna go over Taker? What do you say?
Overtaker or Undertaker?
Oh, God. There it is. There it is.
Sorry. Yeah. It's weird because when I think of these two, I don't think of Brock as a big man when comparing him to Undertaker. I just don't think it. Taker just seems like, no, he's the big man in that. Like, not just because they had their matches, but it's just I never think of Brock as a big man in this context. The other ones, yeah, with Big Show I still did, but it's just like, he's not a big man. What are you talking about? It's just that's a natural reaction. But like Lee kind of did bring up the fact that like Lesnar stuff is all serious, like 99% of it, and Taker had a lot of goofy shit. But he's had so much that it still gets drowned out, I think. So I've got to go with Undertaker on this one. There's just more that he's done, I think, to qualify for that. Maybe in a few years Lesnar will be able to compare to that, but it would literally take 10 more just to get on par. Yeah, you know what I mean? So sure. I'm just going with Undertaker on that one. So not much more to say to that.
Well, guys, that's back to back. Of course, we make it to the semifinals, and we got 4 people that have definitely earned their spot here. And we have another coin toss. Lee, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Again, justflipacoin.com sponsoring this tournament here.
Not sponsored.
Yep, definitely not sponsoring. Here we go. And I'm flipping it now. Call it.
Heads.
It is tails. It is tails.
Fucking fuck.
That means Undertaker will advance to the finals to face Andre the Giant.
Man, I'm doing pretty good on these coin tosses.
Goddamn fucking Undertaker had fucking Limp Bizkit as one of his
He
themes.
did.
Fucking
So you're
Jesus.
discrediting him because of a Limp Bizkit song at one point.
That should discredit anybody.
No,
Anyone
come
fucking
on. No,
associated with that band.
I like the keep rolling.
Oh yeah, how am I not surprised?
Hey, yeah, fuck off. I liked it. That was good. That was good. It wasn't as good as the Kid Rock one. That was a little bit better. American Badass. I like that one too.
You shut your fucking mouth.
But anyway, we're here in the finals, guys. Andre the Giant versus the Undertaker. I'm sure there's a lot of people not surprised these two made it to the finals, but here we go. As I usually do, I'll ask, does anybody want to start this off? Okay. I'll take that take that as a no.
No.
I guess I will then start it off. I don't know if I've ever...
I was just going to ask. I was going to toss that on you, but you volunteered.
I don't know if I've ever started off, because usually somebody's like, yeah, I'll go. So, all right,
Someone's
here we go.
normally yelling at you, Bomber. That's why.
Yeah, there's been a lot less yelling in this one, so that's good. That's good. But here we go. I am going to go... We've said a lot about everybody in this tournament, so there's no reason to go through and dig too deep unless we got anything new, and I don't have that much new to say besides... I'm going with Andre the Giant. I mean, unfortunately, I was just about to pick against Taker. I did pick against Taker with Lesnar, but man, it's hard to beat Andre the fucking Giant as the greatest big man of all time. And again, yes, he's not the best worker. We've said that. He's not the best wrestler. We've said that time and time again. But he is, without a doubt, the big man when you think of who is the best big man in the business. So my vote goes to Andre the Giant over The Undertaker. We're going to go with Lee. Who you got? You going with Limp Bizkit here?
Shut your fucking mouth. I'm going to have to go Undertaker. I just like Undertaker better than Andre the Giant. And I think Undertaker became a great worker at the last 15 years of his career. He just became like one of the top fucking guys of all time as far as big men go. I mean, you know, up against Brock Lesnar, it doesn't erase all of the goofy shit, but against Andre the Giant, I think it does. It sort of overshadows the goofy shit, because you just look at what they did in the ring. You compare the two things together. Undertaker's just a more convincing fucking go at you monster who's coming at you and striking you and putting you submissions and he terrorizing you basically. Whereas Andre the Giant, not so much. So Undertaker.
All right, that's one for Andre the Giant, one for Undertaker. Peanut, let's hear from you. What you got?
I mean, I've said this a couple times already, but the first name you think of, Andre the Giant. You look at the list, and then you see Undertaker, and it's like, oh yeah, of course. I don't want to repeat what I just said in the previous round, so I'll just toss my vote out here, hit a home run with it, and go with the Undertakers.
All right, that's going to be 2 for The Undertaker over Andre the Giant. All right, that means we're coming down to Scott. Scott, this is the big pick here. Are we going to see another coin toss?
You keep coming to me last.
I know, because I'd like to see you...
That's just a thing you do.
I like to see you tortured.
You were going first a lot in the beginning, and then he was...
Yeah, then I flipped it.
Yeah, no, for a couple of times you had me going first, but most of these best of businesses, it's like, all right, and Scott at the end. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep, so let's see. Who you got? Deciding vote possibly here.
That was some stalling. So I'm probably going to get some shit either way on this. I know this already. I'll be honest, I was hoping for this final.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I figured it would be. I figured Andre for sure, and I figured Undertaker would at least beat out Big Show. So I figured this would be the final. This was what I was predicting. I kind of tipped my hand earlier when I said it, but Andre the Giant was the 8th wonder of the world. He did things no one else could do. No one else still has. Even Big Show, who was quote-unquote his son, whatever. No one has matched that on a level. He was a phenomenon. I said that on purpose. That's part of the thing. That's why Taker has surpassed him as a phenom, a phenomenon. He is the superior in that way. In the ring, sure, maybe not outside of it as far as for the overall knownness, but he did pretty much everything better than Andre in a lot of ways, and my vote goes to Undertaker.
Wow.
There we go.
You swerved me there. I thought you were going to say Andre the Giant for a second, and you brought it back around.
Oh, yeah, I'm good at swerving on that. It's fun.
Undertaker, ladies and gentlemen, will get the win in the tournament as your best big man in the business. So, that's it. 16 guys, 16 big motherfuckers, all boiled down to just 2, Andre the Giant, Undertaker. Undertaker gets the win. I'm the only motherfucker that picked Andre the Giant. Is that okay? Okay.
Well, when you look, Bomber, it's a 50-50 for who we pick.
That's true.
So don't be upset. It's like,
I'm not upset. I'm not upset at all. I'm just, that's an outcome I didn't anticipate. Did everybody?
How did Ernie Ladd not make it to the finals?
Honestly,
how did that happened?
He wasn't.
Look at this way, Bomber. When you tell people we're doing a big man tournament, everybody, like you're saying, was, Andre and who?
Yeah, exactly. So he got
Right?
here. Yeah.
That's everybody would think that, but
So
as we go,
Scott pictured Andre versus Undertaker. I pictured off the top of my head, as I said earlier, Andre versus Big Show. Who did you
and I'm
guys?
sure most would.
Yeah,
I'm sure most would
yeah,
think.
who did you think, Lee, when you looked at the bracket? Just first instinct.
I was thinking Vader Brock actually.
Vader Brock. Ooh, that would be. That's.
I like
They've
that.
made it to the semifinals. So, what about you, Peanut? Who did you picture?
On the left side, I always pictured Andre the Giant, but the right side, I never had anyone
Nobody
going
jumped
to the
out.
finals. Yeah, because I knew there was a couple. Like I knew Lesnar had the potential, but I didn't have confidence to put his name in there. I would have to say Big Show. That might have been my first gut as well. Would have been Andre and Big Show.
Yeah, that's, again, same thing here, but.
At first glance, it is.
Yeah, I was shocked that as we got into it and talked about it and just thought about it more, I just went with Brock over Big Show. But yeah, initially I was same page as you. I was thinking Big Show. But guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the latest installment of Best in the Business. We do have more to come, of course. Who knows what we're going to talk about next and break down in another tournament. But I had fun. I hope you guys had fun, and I hope everybody listening or watching had fun.
And tell us who you think is the best.
Everybody comment on how wrong we are.
And how right Bomber
we
was.
are.
And how right Bomber was. But,
Or
and
maybe
while you do that, Dustin's gonna go get himself a throat lozenges.
There you go. And who knows? Maybe some of you think Great Khali was the greatest big man in the business. But you were definitely wrong, whoever thought that. So that's it. Just say, as we're going out of here, you need to check out jobberradio.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes. I was about to say at Jobber Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Jobber Radio. And pretty much anything, all you got to do is just search Jobber Radio, and we're going to pop up pretty much everywhere. So pretty easy to find us. It's pretty simple. Just type in Jobber Radio. That's it, though, guys. Until next time, I say it's time to head out of here, and we'll see you on the next one.